welcome to the MMA Roadshow, episode number 110. My name is John Morgan. Cold Coffee is with me here in Las Vegas. We are, of course, at Boomers on Thirsty Thursday, having a couple of frosty beverages. And, as it was so politely pointed out to us, we have a girl with us this time. It was the way it was said was so shocking. Like, I can't believe a woman would hang around with you people.
You two, of all people.
But Helen Yee is here from NBC Sports Radio, Eyes on the Game. Helen, thank you for coming into our lovely little dive bar establishment and hanging out with us.
Yeah, thank you so much for the invite. This is awesome. And I was kind of shocked, too, when she said that. I was like, there's no way. Because right now I see all of them lined up.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, you know how it is.
You know how it is. It's because we're all about business. When we come, we're like, no, ladies, no, we got work to do.
Yeah, I mean, in our spare time, of course, ladies all the time.
There's the security guards, right?
Yeah.
Holding them
but
back.
work, we got to be serious about this stuff.
That's true.
Listen, I wanted to have you on, and actually Cold Coffee reached out, and I appreciate you setting that up.
Yep.
But definitely wanted to have you on. Now, I've known you for quite some time. Some of our listeners that are like hardcore only MMA might not. But local, born and raised here in Las Vegas.
Yes.
Been doing the sports things for quite a while. Now, you cover mainstream sports. I mean, you cover a little bit of everything.
Yes.
But combat sports is a big part of what you do. But kind of explain basically where people can find your stuff, because I see you on the grind. You're out there hustling, and you're doing the one-man gang thing, which I always
she's
setting
setting up the shot, then she'll go in front, do the interview, then you go back, and I didn't realize this, you're going back and editing it, and you're doing all that sort of stuff, and then you're posting it to your site, you're managing your site. I mean, you're a woman of many, many talents.
Can respect that hustle.
Yeah.
Thank you. Well, I mean, I'm sure you guys know how it is. When you love what you do, I mean, it doesn't feel like work, and because I appreciate, the opportunity to do what I love every day, that I don't take a moment for granted. But yeah, so my show is on NBC Sports AM 920. I produce it, write it, host it, get the guests, everything, kind of like Cold Coffee. Is that your nickname?
That's it.
Okay. I was going to say, Ken, I don't know which one is more proper.
We always joke about that.
That is a Burt Watson given nickname there when Cold Coffee used to work for the UFC.
Yeah.
So we always honor the great Burt Watson by maintaining the nickname here.
Got it.
But there's no anonymity. Everybody knows it's Ken Hathaway.
Okay,
yeah,
Ken.
Who's that
There was
guy?
a moment where I was going to try, and I was like, this lasted about half an episode.
But Cold Coffee works. But yeah, so, born and raised here, I was a swimmer growing up. So being an athlete, was always a big part of me. And sports, I was always a big tomboy, would watch, NBA games, like Allen Iverson, Chauncey Billups and them with my dad. And then, but here's the thing. So people always ask me, how and why combat sports? Because I do cover NBA, NFL, NHL, all mainstream sports. But I love combat sports because aside from growing up as a swimmer, it was a team sport, but when you jumped in the pool, you're by yourself,
Right.
So it's like, if you listen to your coach or don't, it's up to you.
Yeah.
And if you do well or not, you're the one to blame. And so that's how I kind of related to a lot of MMA fighters or boxers. I was like, wow, they have a team, have a camp. But when they step into that ring or the octagon, it's them.
Yeah.
They're in control of everything. And I was also a huge, die-hard WWE fan. Watched it religiously, Monday Night Raw, Tuesday night ECW, Thursday was TNA. Total nonstop action.
Right,
that one. The clean
we
one.
like TNA on Thursday nights, too.
We're all about
Friday,
TNA.
SmackDown. Saturday was an hour recap of Monday night's 2-hour Raw. I was so obsessed with it. The days it wasn't on, I needed that kind of fix of watching people, I guess, kind of go at it against each other. So then I remember watching, I think it was WEC. And then, flipping the channel and boxing, and that's how I got into it when I was
do you still
young.
follow
That's
wrestling at all?
A
Because
little
it did
bit.
sound like it was past tense there.
Yeah,
There was a lot of enthusiasm
do.
still there. There was
No,
a lot of
I
enthusiasm
collected
there.
the books. I knew all those moves. Tried the 5-star frog splash on my brother. It hurt him pretty well.
So what was your era of the wrestlers? When you draw back, into your favorite wrestlers. Like I look back, I think of Hulk Hogan and Superfly Snuka, the Junkyard Dog, those
Jake the
kind of
Snake.
cats. Jake the Snake, of course. I mean, is
You're
that
more of a wrestler back
No,
up.
that's back in the day. This was like when I was. This
You've been
is
holding out on me
30-some
all
years.
the time.
I've been waiting to say those names on this podcast forever. But I didn't know if that was your era, if you still, because we have a recent hire at Junkie, Simon Samano, who's a huge wrestling fan, and Brent Brookhouse was
Used
a
to be
huge.
big. I
was
can't
a big
follow it. I followed it
wrestling-
until I was like 8, and then like as soon as I realized it was fake, I'm like, why do I like this?
Well,
you know
what
I
about
mean?
our recent, the New Japan Alliance? New
Well,
Japan.
I did like that. The New
That one
Japan
was
bout
fun.
was good.
Yeah, NWA, right?
NWA was out there. Is that became something else,
I
right?
have no idea.
I think that all got folded into
Yeah,
some, but I don't know. I could be
Like Straight Outta
completely
Compton?
wrong. Yeah, NWA. Well, it's funny because there's a
Ice
band like
Cube.
New World Order. I think there's like a metal band or
Right.
something, but Simon had that on, and a guy at a restaurant was like, "Oh, dude, I dig your shirt," and he's like, "What? You the wrestling side?" And the guy was like, "Oh no."
Oh
never
no,
mind."
you dork!
and like walked away.
Dork!
I was
thought
like,
you,
oh,
thought you had
okay.
some music.
But it's interesting, and I never was the biggest wrestling, besides when I was a kid, wrestling fan, but it's interesting to see people just like yourself. They're huge WWE wrestling, professional wrestling fans that are huge MMA fans. So there was something that maybe it is just the combat. Maybe it's the whole-
correlation.
Yeah.
Even though, like you mentioned, John, I remember once I wanted to watch SummerSlam with Hulk Hogan, and I begged
yeah.
my dad. It was on pay-per-view, and my dad was like, it was me and my younger brother. I was like 10 or 11, he was like 5 or 6, and we're like, please Dad, it's the biggest event ever. And my dad was like, no. So I
Shit's
cried.
expensive.
Yeah, that's what he said. And then my mom was like, Helen, why are you watching this stuff? It's fake. And then my heart just crushed.
Right.
Yeah. So then
They just killed Santa
Like,
Claus
there is
right
no
there.
Santa Claus.
Yeah, and the Easter Bunny and everything. But then, so I think after where, what drew me to MMA, I mean, aside from, like I said, being able to relate to it from swimming and just seeing all the hard work and dedication that goes
Yeah.
into it, but it was quote unquote real,
Yeah.
so
Right.
it wasn't like WWE.
It's funny.
just
I
fake.
went through that same path. I mean, I don't know if I've told the story here before. I know I've told it to friends, but like the thing that got me in MMA was I liked wrestling until I was like 8 or however old it was. It may have been even older than that, but I remember watching Saturday Night's Main Event and stuff like that. But I'm a little older than you are, but I remember finding out it was fake, and I was like, damn, and I felt like horrible. But then Guy Mesger was opening a gym in Dallas. I grew up in Dallas. He was opening up a kickboxing gym. This was before he'd ever fought in the UFC. And he was a friend of a family friend, and we went to his gym opening. And at the gym opening, he had a tape of Muay Thai fights playing from Thailand. It was like an old VHS tape, And I was a kid, but I was mesmerized. I was like, holy, like this is what fighting really looks like. You know what I mean? And right then I'm like, like real fighting. This is awesome.
Yeah.
And then so I started out with kickboxing, and that kind of led me to MMA. So I think we've all gone down that
We've
path.
all gone.
We all started as pro wrestling junkies
It's
somewhere.
funny because just getting this talk just made me think, and I had to look it up. Even though you knew it was fake, when Hulk Hogan slammed Andre the Giant,
Right.
was like
Oh,
one of
yeah.
the greatest moments
Iconic.
ever.
Yes.
I just had to look at that. WrestleMania 3.
That's
It
hilarious.
was like so
When was
amazing.
that? Thank you.
It was, let's see. I just remember as a kid thinking like it was like watching the greatest thing. It says 30 years ago. When was this article?
So let me ask you guys this. Were you guys like me where I would go on those pro wrestling forums and study it and the rumors?
Never did that
and-
one.
No, you're a real dork.
Oh, sorry.
No, well, I'll be honest. I'm so old that we didn't have the internet when I was a kid watching. Right? We did.
Or the books.
I think like
1987, March 29th, 1987.
Yeah, see,
Had
I was 9 years old then.
93,000 fans in attendance.
Wow, that
Even
was more
then-
than the Joshua Klitschko
Even then,
fight.
it was like, at Wembley, because what was that, like
90,000,
90,000?
yeah.
Well, I want to talk about that. It's a great segue there because I want to talk to you about some boxing. Number one, because you're kind of a mainstay at the Mayweather Gym. I know you do a ton of interviews there. I see you getting content for there all the time. Do you actually work out there as well, or do you just go by there a lot and pick up interviews?
No, I just they're very great to me, so I just hang out.
Because I've seen you like train and stuff like that, but you don't train
yes,
there. You train.
no, I train with Skip.
Okay.
Skipper, yeah.
Okay, cool. So you just stop by there and pick up interviews because you're always getting good content from them. So we'll get to, of course, the main man in just a second. But since you mentioned it, let's talk about Joshua Klitschko. I know we don't talk about a lot of boxing on this show, but I've mentioned a little bit, a couple here and there. Vasyl Lomachenko was somebody I told people they should definitely watch if they haven't watched, because he's amazing. And I did say,
he's helping TJ Dillashaw.
I saw he tweeted
really?
I didn't see it. Maybe I'll have to follow him on Twitter, but I saw it today because Mauro Ranallo tweeted. Lomachenko actually tweeted, "Hey, I used to win like sambo and wrestling tournaments when I was a kid. Should I try UFC?"
Wow.
Really?
And I think he was just probably just throwing it out there,
he?
playing around a little bit. But that dude is amazing. I mean,
so quick.
Oh, dude, it's amazing to watch. But so we mentioned that one as a fighter that people should watch, because I think he's somebody that you don't have to be a boxing purist to be like, that dude is just awesome. You can enjoy watching him. And the same thing was for Anthony Joshua and Vladimir Klitschko. With it not being a pay-per-view, I was like, listen, it was a slow combat sports weekend. If you've got Showtime, watch it. Or if you got HBO, watch the replay or whatever. And, man, I'm telling you what, that fight was, I think, one of the greatest heavyweight title fights ever. And I readily admit I'm not a boxing historian. The way that I can, recall fights in the UFC and mixed martial arts, that's not me in boxing. I'm a casual when it comes to boxing. But I tell you what, man, just the spectacle of that whole thing, and then the fight itself was absolutely phenomenal. I thought it literally one of the greatest fights I've ever seen.
No, I completely agree. And, I mean, I respect, like you mentioned, like your knowledge with MMA and combat sports in general. Like, John, I will say on this show, I mean, you're someone I looked up to for a while, even before the business. So I want to know, though, when you were watching the fight, because clearly I think we can all agree that we wouldn't mind watching it again, even though Klitschko is 41 years old. But also, Colts Coffee, there's a question for kind of both of you. Were you more impressed with Anthony Joshua, who is a 27-year-old in his prime, even though when he went into the fight, I mean, some people argued they weren't that impressed with him because he hasn't really beaten that,
until yeah. I was gonna say, if they said that walking away from that fight, they got problems.
I think now he has gained so much more respect. But were you more impressed with someone 27 years old in his prime who hasn't really even fought, even 8 rounds or 9 rounds, or someone Vladimir Klitschko took 18 months off and 41 years old?
Well, that's a great question, because I'll tell you what, here's the thing is, first of all, obviously very impressed with Joshua. What was crazy was the middle rounds where I'm like, Joshua's done. Like, dude, he's just literally exhausted. And then to all of a sudden, turn it back on. And I was thinking, okay, maybe he's saving some energy. Maybe he's, trying to catch his breath and save it for a late salvo. But I'm like, I'm not sure that's a wise decision. So to see him kind of dig deep and turn things around in the late rounds, absolutely. To handle that pressure in just his 18th professional fight, it was amazing. So I was very impressed. But, yes, I was just as impressed by Klitschko, because Klitschko has had so many just boring, horrible, terrible fights. This was it. So that's the interesting part of it is I was incredibly impressed by Klitschko, and I know they have that rematch clause in their contract. And if they want to execute it, I'm totally down for it. Let's do it. But I do wonder, because Klitschko did it. First of all, I thought Klitschko looked amazing. I thought he looked as good as he has in years, and he still lost. He also didn't fight. He put it all out there. He didn't do the jab and grab. You know what I mean? He actually went there and do it. And it didn't work. You know what I mean? So, I wonder, he obviously has nothing to prove in his career. I don't think he has anything to worry about financially or anything like that. So, I mean, if he fights again with Joshua, it's because he just really, really wants to.
Right.
And after that night, I don't know if he'll want to or not. Just because he did look great. Like, he said, I was in great shape. I was, everything was perfect, and I still lost. So, how do you say, I'll go do that again? So, to answer your question, I might say I was more impressed by Klitschko, but because of that, I think that's why he might not even bother with the rematch.
Yeah. I don't know. It was such a competitive fight, and I think Joshua was going to grow from that fight. I think he learned so much from himself in that fight as well, and see how he can overcome things, and I think he's going to grow a lot from that. Klitschko, I didn't know about this. Did you know that him and his brother, they have a stake and own 30% or something of Hugo Boss?
I did not know
What?
that.
I found this out
Wow.
from a close confidant, and I don't want to release it because it was after a show had finished taping, and he said this stuff. So he's not hurting for money. And part of, like, I guess why they wear the Hugo Boss and stuff, and that's why a lot of times you can find certain clothing on the Hugo Boss because they have bigger shoulders and it tapers in and stuff, is because I think they were using these guys as, like, models for what the gear they were doing. So, yeah, I found out these guys owed, like, 30%. And I was like, no wonder.
I'm always looking for something with big shoulders
Tapers
tapers down to really fit me just right.
Well, I was wondering because, me not being the huge boxing guy, but I remember back in the day I was like, Hayden Panettiere is married to who or is going to be married to? And I was like, holy cow, who's this boxer? And then I was like, okay, all right, he's a stud.
Well, that is
he's
the definition of a casual fan right there. But introduced to him by Hayden Panettiere.
Right?
Wait, which movies of hers did you watch?
No, it was Heroes. I was a fan of hers from that show, Heroes.
Yeah.
I loved that show. I've never watched the Nashville show, even though I heard it's not doing so well.
You're a science fiction kind of guy.
I'm a sci-fi dude. Like, you got me in sci-fi. If it's like a comic book sort of redo, I'm all there.
Well, it was a great fight. I'm telling you,
if
people didn't watch it, I'm saying this right now, even though it's a week later and by now I'm assuming everybody knows the results, it's still worth watching. Even if you haven't seen the fight and you don't know, and you know the results, you already know what round it ended in, how it ended. It's still worth watching. It was that damn entertaining. And oh man, the presentation. Helen, you've covered MMA and boxing. I always say it, and this I think was such an example of it. I mean, MMA, especially the UFC. In fact, it's probably not even fair to say MMA. UFC, because their production is so top notch.
Yes.
Start to finish, a UFC event is like more exciting, more dynamic, more, you got music playing all night, you got the lights, you got, it feels like an event, whereas boxing, it's crazy. Like the early fights, there's like 12 people in the MGM Grand Garden Arena.
True.
It's so ridiculous. But dude, when you get to a main event of a huge boxing event, like that, the walk-in, as ridiculous it was, hell, it was almost pro wrestling like, where the AJ's on fire and he's getting lifted into the air. I mean, dude, that was pretty damn special.
I know, incredible, like goosebumps even from watching at home.
Right.
But I have to say, though, even though, like you mentioned, there is, the rematch clause or whether or not Klitschko wants to take the fight, I just hope to see Anthony Joshua versus Deontay Wilder.
Oh, that'd be fun.
That'd be good.
That'd be a great one. I think that's
that
got to come next.
or Tyson Fury.
And that should probably come next. You know what I mean? Maybe they can do that next. 'Cause I'm sure Klitschko wants a little time off. Even if he does want to do the rematch, he's not a young kid. You know what I mean? He probably doesn't want to jump right back in there.
He needs some or a lot of recovery time.
Absolutely. All right. So if you haven't watched that fight, go watch it. Damn it, do it. I'm sure they're replaying it on HBO and Showtime and all that. How crazy is that they both showed it in the same day? That's amazing. All right. So I know you got your finger of the pulse of the Mayweather. Conor McGregor, you got to talk about that. Give us
one where Dana White got mad because do you know what happened?
No.
Was it after the? And if Dana ever listens, I'm sorry, Dana.
Oh, he listens. He was their first subscriber.
Don't be mad at me. But so, was it after the last pay-per-view, UFC 210? Mm-hmm. Did you hear when Dana was like? Jeff Mayweather, like...
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that was from my interview. So then after I go back to the gym and Jeff comes up to me. And, I mean, Jeff and I were super cool. I love Jeff. But he's like, Helen, you got me in trouble. And I was like, I am so sorry. Like, my heart dropped. I didn't expect him to, like, go off, and especially in the post-fight conference, and just kind of bring that up out of nowhere. But from what Jeff told me, though, per Jeff, he said that Dana's reaction to it was because it is true. And Jeff was like, because Dana apparently doesn't want people to know. And
the claim was that the UFC is asking for a massive portion
80%.
of the purse. And it can't be right.
Yeah, but you know what?
Be right.
No,
I mean, they do deserve a big share. Let's not forget. I mean, that's their guy.
They kind of built McGregor.
That's their hell yeah. Think about how much time and money they spent in building the guy
up. They built him on like the super fast train there.
Right, and
like 3 years.
Dude, if he does, let's say Conor does make $100 million. I mean, maybe he just says "F you, UFC, I'm out." Like all I ever wanted was $100 million. Now I got it.
Well, it's part of
you know what I mean? So I mean, they do deserve to cash in. But if they really are, I don't believe it's 80%. I
was
can't.
that because is he trying to put their production team? Do they want to promote it? Does he want to make it a UFC promotion? And maybe that's why he wants 80%. Has he been when he was talking to them about things? Besides just the money amount, was he trying to take control of the fact like he wanted his group of people to put the event on? Do you know if that was like what Dana was pushing towards?
I will find out and get back to you.
Because I'm wondering if that's why he's justifying trying to say some of that money is because he wants to put his promotional
It's going to be a boxing promotion. It's going to be a Mayweather Productions event.
Mayweather.
I think it would be a Mayweather Productions event co-promoted by the UFC.
That's exactly. I mean, I've worked boxing events, and I was going to ask you about this too. Like, it drives me fucking crazy working some boxing events, especially when there's multiple promotions, because it's so fucking disorganized.
That's a good point. Yeah, and then you're like, wait, whose show is this?
Yeah, like you're like, you want to talk to a PR person because you see somebody doing something, and then you're like, who do I talk to?
Yeah, no,
so
I agree.
It drives me nuts. And I was going to say, good on you, because I literally leave every boxing event wanting to choke somebody out. If I had any skills to choke somebody out, I would want to after one of these things. So that's what I just didn't know if maybe he was trying to do a big push, because one, we all know that Conor probably won't ever fight again for the UFC after making that kind of money.
Maybe.
But maybe part of it was the fact of, hey, we want to put it on and have that money to use towards putting it on.
Well, Helen, I know you've interviewed everybody in the family. So what I want to know is just not necessarily the words that are coming out of their mouth, but just the feel of being around them. Like, Floyd doesn't need to make this fight. I mean, I think he if there's a chance to go make a couple $100 million, especially against a guy with an 0-0 record, why not do it? But I mean, when you're around him, when you're hearing the family talk, when you hear Floyd talk, when you're kind of broaching the subject with him, do you get the feeling they want to make it happen? Like they're actively going to like really try and make it happen, or is it more of like, well, shit, if it happens, whatever?
No, I get the impression, and well, since it is May, it's crazy because almost 1 year ago, his dad, I interviewed him on the red carpet, Nevada Boxing Hall of Fame, and his dad like slipped it out to me, and he was like, I was like, hey, your son, he's, retired, like what's next for him? And he's like, yeah, I mean, he told me he's going to, or he wants to come back for this MMA fighter. And then, but I don't think he was like supposed to say it. Yeah. And then, but then when I heard that, it clicked, because obviously like I cover both. And I was like, is that fighter Conor McGregor? And then he was like, thinking, kind of hard. He was like, yeah, like a Makana, Makana.
I think that's close enough to think
that and then I was like, and then after it kind of blew up, but let's just put it this way, a lot of media people kind of like weren't too happy to hear that, MMA media. But yeah, that is what Senior told me 1 year ago. And the vibe I got a year ago and the vibe I get today is that it's not that, oh, do they want to make it happen, or like if it doesn't happen it's fine. No, they talk to me as if it's going to happen. They're just trying to figure out when, and they've told me kind of like they've done their part, and now it's just up to Dana and whatever he's working out with Conor behind
which is crazy because Dana's saying, oh, me and Conor are good, we just got to work it out with Floyd.
So how much of these guys, I mean, because you got Mayweather, who is at the top of his thing. I mean, the guy, he's a legend in his own right. Are they sitting around? Are they looking at the interwebs? Are they reading constantly? Are they going out looking to see what Conor's saying or what people are saying about him and Conor? Or is it just every day they go on, they're just managing the gym, they're managing the fighters? How much are they actively sort of like trolling the webs to see what people are saying about it and that kind of thing? I mean, are they bringing it up in conversation, or do you have to egg them on to talk about those sort of things?
Yeah, it's kind of like, well, even, in the gym, like when you talk to the manager or something, like they all talk like they know it's going to happen, but it's something where you have to bring up because, and this is, what I don't know how to properly put this, but
we don't do anything properly, so it's fine.
Okay. Well, like when I go to their gym, they're just all so focused because they have so many fighters to train.
Yeah.
And I just love kind of watching and observing because most of the time, I mean, Andrew or Senior, he's training like Andrew Tabiti. He's training all these different guys, Jay Leon Love, like they're there. And then Jeff, he's busy training his fighters and traveling for them. So I think, it's not like they're just like, oh my gosh, thinking about this 24/7.
Right.
Because they have so much to do.
The place is a mad.
Yeah. How many fighters are usually in there on a regular basis? I've only been in there when there's been like a fight week and they've been putting on a special event in there. But
Yeah.
like during a typical day or a typical week, how many fighters are in there training? Just roughly.
Roughly, I would say, I mean, like, usually when I go in, probably around anywhere between, like, 15 to 25.
That's
yeah,
a lot.
it's busy.
Yeah,
It's,
no,
busy.
it's, like, super busy.
one of the first editions of the MMA Roadshow spoke to Dominique Robinson from the Mayweather gym.
Oh, yeah.
A couple
That's
years
right.
back, and I
forgot.
was so afraid that it was so loud that it just wasn't gonna, like, the
Yeah.
audio wasn't gonna work. But it was good. Yeah, it's just a madhouse in there.
It's
There's all
crazy.
kinds of activity going
It's
on.
crazy. And did they ever try to hide the location of that place? Because it's kind of in this nondescript back of the Chinatown, like, shopping area. Did they ever try to keep that as, like, a top secret location at any point? Do you know? Do you know, John? Maybe?
I don't know why it ended up. I'm sure it was just cheap real estate.
It was true. It was just a cheap spot, and it was close to the Palms, I guess. And he was like, "Oh, you know, I'm renting out a floor."
I
of
mean,
the
there's
Palms."
signage on it, so it's not like they're
Yeah,
trying to.
that's true. But
yeah, no, I mean, I've seen people just walk in.
yeah,
Yeah.
how often do you see is Floyd there? Is he only there on special occasions?
Funny you bring that up, and because it kind of slipped my mind, but Floyd Sr. did tell me when I asked him a few weeks ago when was the last time that his son was there, and I asked him about 2 weeks ago, and he said about a month and a half ago was the last time that Floyd actually went in the gym and was actually going to begin training camp
Oh wow.
for the McGregor fight. And
Nice.
even when I spoke to
Interesting.
Kevin Lee told me that, you know, the Mayweather camp asked him to be Floyd's training
Yeah,
partner
he had
for
mentioned
Conor.
that. He had mentioned
Yeah,
that on Junkie
but-
Radio.
Yeah. So, but I thought that was interesting that it was kind of around the time, you know, where I guess things kind of fizzled between, I don't know, you know, what's going on with UFC and McGregor. But as far as I know from the Mayweather side, like they said Floyd was going in, you know, and preparing to train, but now he's just kind of going in and just
chilling,
watching.
Right, just
Yeah.
interesting. I think it happens. I
Interesting.
bet it happens in the
Yeah.
fall.
Well,
All
it
right.
seems like he thought it was going to happen sooner
Yeah, we
rather
know they
than
had
later.
that summer date on hold,
Yeah,
but
well,
that
that's
never
true.
happened. But I bet it happens. How great, man! Now that they're struggling for a main event for Fight Week, like how amazing would that have been if they'd had been able to do it for International Fight Week? I don't know how you do it. Well, I said all along, I think you should fight him in a cage because then if for some reason he happened to lose, he'd have an excuse. Like, I didn't fight in a ring. You know what I mean? Like, new boxing rules in a cage. But I think we'll see it this fall. All right. Well, let's move on a little bit. From speaking of one kind of hard to deal with fighter in well, actually two hard to deal with fighters in Floyd Mayweather and Conor McGregor, I guess, at this
He used to
point.
be all right. He's gotten gradually harder.
He's got a little bit tougher to deal with. Still very respectful behind the scenes, but
Yeah.
a little bit tougher to manage. But Anderson Silva. How about all this stuff with Anderson Silva threatening to retire,
Oh, yeah.
blowing up on the UFC, saying if he doesn't get an interim title fight with Yoel Romero in Brazil, he's done. And I got to say, I know a lot of people were like, yeah, good for Anderson. He's sticking it to the man. I was kind of put off by it, man. No
It was
disrespect.
random.
It was well. Here's the thing. I honestly believe, and this is just me guessing. This is not any intel I have. I think it's just completely financially motivated. I gotta believe, right? His contract probably pays him more to be in a title fight. I mean, I respect the hell out of the fact that he's
Yep.
asking to fight Yoel Romero.
Yep, it's gotta be
Nobody's asking to fight Yoel Romero.
That
Yeah.
is true.
You know what I mean?
That's a good
So,
point.
but
I'd run out.
Right?
Yeah.
Nobody wants that fight. But for him to say that I'm going to retire unless I get an interim title fight with Yoel
With
Romero, and
Yoel.
only if it's an interim title fight, and no offense, but
Good luck.
Anderson's 1-4 in his last 5 fights. He is the greatest of all time. He's amazing. He's a legend. He's
But
an
past his
immediate
prime.
Hall of Famer. Right. But title fights are supposed to be, I know, sometimes they get a little creative or whatever. I don't think he's in the argument right now. As many contenders as there are at 185, I don't think he's a contender right now. And I think it's just completely financially motivated. I think the only
Yeah.
reason he wants to do it is because he probably gets paid more to fight in a title fight.
Yeah,
It's gotta be.
Now that
gotta
you
be
bring
it.
that up, I'm like, that could be the case. Because at first I was like, man, is this kind of Conor McGregor effect, like starting to trickle down to all the fighters where they're all speaking up now? Even like
Right.
Jorge Masvidal Jorge, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm like, Jorge. But,
Or George.
Yeah.
I don't want him to get mad at me again.
I've heard both.
I've heard both.
I've heard both. So
Yeah.
I think you're right either way.
Okay, or Masvidal, right? But
Mr. Masvidal.
yeah. So
or Senior Masvidal.
Senior.
So So I was like, man, why is, Anderson Silva, wasn't he just cool with fighting Kelvin Gastelum up until that bizarre situation happened where I was like, out of everyone, like,
that's why I don't
Kelvin?
get it. See,
what?
And I think you make a great point because I feel like a lot of people are kind of lumping him in. Now you got Ally Quinta going crazy, like cursing out
Wow, that
everybody.
guy is, whoa.
So, I think like a lot of people were just like, yeah, Anderson, join the movement. Let's
Yes,
go.
the movement.
And that's cool. I mean, if you want to like try to make a statement and all that, I think it's cool. But I feel like he's not being honest. I feel like he's not being honest because everything I've been told is behind the scenes. They're trying like hell to get him opponents. They're offering him multiple people. I have been told that actually this morning, Kelvin Gastelum tweeted, if you want to fight Anderson, let's do it in New York.
New York, yeah.
I've actually been told behind the scenes that was not just some random tweet, that Anderson has that contract. It's been offered. They said you can main event the Fox show in Long Island against Kelvin Gastelum. So that's on the table. Offers are on the table. But I think that he just believed that the UFC needed him so bad in Brazil. And I've said this before. I have heard that he needs money. That he didn't he didn't save everything. He spent a lot of money.
Got a ton of houses.
Maybe he had some bad investments. I don't know. All I've heard is that he does need money, and it makes me think that this was just a huge financial play because he probably gets more if it's a title fight.
I mean, he was making a ton of money when he had the sponsorship money, and people were saying how he had to walk away from this. Burger King, was it Nike that had him?
Yeah.
Nike that had him. He had a ton, and then due to his issues and his way he was dealing with it, got dropped by a bunch of people. And I've heard the same thing, that he owns a ton of property. I mean, his entourage that he goes around with. Dude's been shelling out a lot of money, and I think it just came down to where, he probably is not as secure as you would think he would be at this point. And I agree. There's probably a championship clause or something. Because
it's just a weird position because I respect the hell out of him for saying, I'll fight Yoel Romero, dude.
Which is crazy because I'm thinking like, he doesn't want to fight Gastelum. And it's like, well, you're taking on another hugely
he's not scared of
person.
anybody, but I mean, it has
But
to be
he wants
money.
the money.
Has to be money. It's
But
not,
do you know how much more they get in a championship fight?
Well, it's all negotiated separately. Everybody's got their independent clauses.
Yeah, it's
you know what I
probably
mean? So it could be whatever it was. But I think he probably makes still $3 to $4 million a fight, even for a regular fight.
and I'm sure if a title defense is ratcheted
you know what I bet
up.
it is? You know what I bet it is? That's a pay-per-view, and I bet if he is on a pay-per-view, he gets points.
Right.
If he's in a title fight,
points
he
for
doesn't.
sure.
Maybe he doesn't get points if he's not in a title. Now that's just me guessing.
Yeah.
So, but I guarantee
I'd
it's all
imagine he's
financial.
getting
That's the
points.
only reason you would dig your heels in and say, "I'm only fighting."
Yo, well.
I mean, he's
No.
still got 4 fights left.
Yeah.
It's more, not 5.
So,
Who knows? He signed like 10-fight deal.
Was it 10? I thought it was 8, but same difference.
do you know if Yoel responded to that?
Yoel said that he would fight him too, only for an. And Yoel's right. Now Yoel's in the right because Yoel's the number one contender. If he can sit around,
deserves it.
Exactly. He can sit around as long as he wants, and he's like, I'll only fight you if it's for an interim title fight as well, which I can understand his position because he's like, I'm not going to fight. Because imagine this: imagine Yoel beats Anderson Silva, and then it comes time to book another title fight, and people are like, dude, you're not the number one contender. You beat a 42-year-old Anderson Silva. Like, we're going to give it to
True.
Luke Rockhold instead. We're going to you know what I mean? So I
Yeah.
can understand Yoel saying, I'm not going to do anything that could potentially disqualify me from being a number one contender.
Yep.
So I understand Yoel's position. I don't understand Anderson's position. I think it was a financial play, and I'm going to be honest, I find it a little bit disappointing. And I do know that he has the contract offer on the table to fight Kelvin Gastelum in New York. Hopefully he does it because look, I said it a couple weeks ago. Don't be surprised if Anderson doesn't fight in Brazil, and I don't think he's going to fight in Brazil. So
That's crazy. I was like, man, dude hasn't even won. I completely spaced over the Brunson fight.
Yeah.
But that was like,
But even
Yeah,
that
that
wasn't
was
like
like,
convincing. I think,
No,
I
it was
think
like,
Brunson won the fight.
I know.
I think Brunson won the fight. All right.
Yeah.
Well, listen.
that's tough.
Somebody you ran into at the Mayweather gym. I saw actually your interview today, Francis Ngannou. I want to talk to you about him just actually before you ran into him. We actually ran into him earlier in the day. In fact,
did.
Cold Coffee was the one that said you should go check out the Mayweather gym.
I was like, did you know that gym's here in town? They're like, no, I didn't. And we were talking to the UFC staffer that was with him. And we're just like, well, yeah, it's right over by Chinatown, blah, 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 blah. And then we saw your
That's
tweet.
crazy.
And we were like,
Now I know, because when I walked in there, right? So I'm just, like in the gym. And then I'm sitting there, and I look to my right, and this guy just comes walking in, but just observing, wearing like his black shirt. And so in my mind,
Terminator shirt.
yeah. And then in my mind, I'm like, wait, what? So I'm like, double take, triple take,
You have
quadruple
cold coffee
take.
to blame for that. We
Yeah.
actually,
That's right.
it was cool, man. It was really cool. What happened was, he tweeted in the morning that he had moved to Las Vegas, and I'm like, I start calling people immediately, like, is his English right? Did he actually move to Las Vegas?
Yeah, how
Did
random.
or was
Yeah.
he just joking? You know what I mean? Found out that he did. Said, reached out to people. Can we get an interview? They said yes. We'll set up. Cold Coffee and I ran up to the brand new UFC headquarters, which are
Brand shiny new.
phenomenal.
Wow, it's amazing.
They're not even completely done yet. They haven't done an official opening. We'll actually be there for a grand opening later this month. But we got a chance
They
to sneak in
sent
there.
those invites?
Yes.
For
I
which?
think.
Oh, for which?
I've heard about it verbally.
Oh, okay.
So
Oh yeah.
about the grand opening. So
Oh, yeah,
we're
yeah.
gonna be there. We're gonna be there later this month. But we had a chance to sneak in, talk to Francis Ngannou. I'm gonna ask you about him after this. But let's hear our conversation with Francis Ngannou. Francis, a big decision for you to move from France to Las Vegas to continue your career. Talk about how you came to this decision and why you decided to move to Las Vegas.
This decision we I take a long time ago, but we are on it because it was not easy before. Since my sign in UFC, we already know that to have a good career in MMA, the most often was in United States. But we think about how to do the thing easy, me and my team, with Fernand, Tonton, and everyone who behind me, who around me, we talking about, and we take time to think about what when was the good moment to do that, and now we think that this is the real moment, the perfect timing to move.
What was it about this moment that made it the right time?
When we mean this moment, you say like now we have performance institute. That is something very important. That is even something who help us for the decision to choose Vegas, because for our we are still doubt about some other city, but when we have we know that they have the performance institute, and we know they tell us what is the branch of performance institute. We just say that is the best way to go. That is the thing that we are find since long time.
You're one of the first fighters probably to see this whole corporate campus and the Performance Institute. Just being here and seeing it all, what do you think about it?
I think it's a proof. It's a proof that we are in something right. We are doing a good job. So we have to stay smartly, carefully, and to continue to the same way. To continue to take some good decision, do the good training, and then continue.
There's a lot of other gyms here in Las Vegas, a lot of teams here in Las Vegas. Do you see yourself, aligning yourself with maybe one team or working with several? How do you see your training going from here?
We are still on it, but now I can see myself training with someone to some gym, but no officially aligned of the gym, of the team. So we are still thinking about how to do, but we already have place to train before think about something. So he helped us to take the time and think about the good condition.
I know you've just been here for a couple of days, but do you miss home at all? Are you homesick at all for Paris, or are you settling into Las Vegas?
I will always miss home, but when you have some goal, you always leave something back of you. Before I moved to Paris 4 years ago, I come from Cameroon, and then in Cameroon I have my whole life, but I have my family, I have everything, but I supposed to leave that for one reason, for follow my goal, to try to make my dream become true. Yes, that is a life. And then I miss home, but yeah, I have maybe this is the best reason, the best time than when I moved to Cameroon, from Cameroon to Paris. Yeah, I moved here and everything is almost already done, and then it's better.
you tweeted that you were going to take your career to the next level. You've already had so much success in the UFC, so where do you think you can improve? I mean, we think about wrestling in America, maybe that's something you're focused on, or are there certain things that you think you can improve, or is it just training partners? What is it that'll help you here?
I think I can improve of anything, even my boxing, my wrestling, my jiu-jitsu. I think I can become an amazing fighter to watch. Yes, I just started MMA 4 years ago, but now even in training, I feel more better. I feel something more technical, and I feel myself like I have something that I need to explain, and to explain that I get to do it in the octagon.
When you walked into that gym 4 years ago and started training MMA, did you ever picture a day that you might be living in Las Vegas and standing in a facility like this and, you know, on the edge of superstardom like it looks like you may be?
When I started, I would think that it's possible to be in Las Vegas one day, but I think about boxing at the time. I not think about MMA, because when they talk to me about MMA, that is not my problem. So I just do easy, and then someday, when they tell me that they work on my contract, they tell me you have USA contract. I say maybe this is my opportunity, because that boxing that I dreaming for long time is very hard. Yeah, and I am alone. You know, when boxing is something very close, and when you are alone, you don't have manager, you don't have nobody who support you. And for some city like Paris, it's not easy. It's very hard. And then I just say, okay, maybe this is the opportunity. Anyway, it's the same thing. It's fighting, it's training, and you're gonna improve yourself. Yes. And then for the time I say yes, I agree that I agree myself to give my life for MMA. I agree to improve in MMA. Even I have I don't have a lot of experience, but I can do this. I have my time. I am still young. I have the whole life yet me.
Your English is getting really good. Are you practicing on it? Do you study, or how are you learning it?
I try with you like this. I try, and then now I will work on it seriously. I'm sure that I will to move here will help me, but I will really try to work on to have the best English, because sometimes I need to explain something, to tell something, but I don't have the good word to say it, and then I need to, you know, I have something in me that I want to explain in the octagon, everywhere.
You know, I think many people think you're already an exciting fighter to watch. The big question, when do we get to watch you again? When are you going to fight again?
When I get to fight again, I don't know exactly. Me too. Now I'm moved, and so I get ready for the next. So we can start to seriously work on it. I don't already think about too much, because I was in my move, you know. And then now I'm down. We're gonna start to work on it to find who would the next. And then you just do the job.
Nice. And I know you dream to be the UFC heavyweight champion. Do you think you might get a chance to fight for the title this year? Is that too soon, or do you think maybe it could happen?
You know, everything is possible. It depends for when was my next fight. It depends for a lot of things. So it could be this year or next year.
All right, welcome back to the MMA Roadshow. That was Francis Ngannou, the Predator. Sounds like, from what he's saying and what we can gather, he's going to be training mostly at the Performance Institute once it gets done, which is pretty interesting. You know, cross-train around town, take advantage of the gyms, but not necessarily align himself with one gym.
Yeah, because it'd be interesting, because I wonder if you can outdo your welcome, whatever the phrase is. Because, I mean, I know they have to you have to schedule it, and depending on who it is, if you got one heavyweight in there, do you want is another heavyweight not allowed to go in there? I know a lot of it, their idea was that one fighter, at least I imagine, a fighter or a very limited amount of fighters can go. And now as more and more people are here in Vegas, I can see some doing it. But I don't know if after a while they're going to like, all right, Francis,
I think this will be their – no, well, hell no, I don't think they're going to do that. I think that guy's a future
well,
star,
he's a future
man.
star.
So I think,
so
but
we'll
I think it'll be a case study for sure to see how they do it. So
because it's not the biggest place. The locker room was very, very small. We only saw the women's locker room, but it was like one shower.
Yeah.
Like
in
two
the women's?
In the women's.
Yeah.
There was one that was a handicap side stall, or like one of the fold-down chairs that you could sit in, and then one stall to shower.
Yeah.
There was different other locker things, but when you think about it, there's multiple fighters. What are you going to do? You're going to have somebody wait to take a shower? That's not going to
Stand in
happen.
line.
Yeah, that's not going to happen.
Listen, I mean, you're never going to have like.
I was
50
surprised by that.
people
I
there
only
at a
saw
time.
one
But you're right. It
shower
was
there.
pretty. It
I
was
was like,
small.
interesting.
It was pretty small. All right, so you ran into Ngannou at the Mayweather gym, and you actually had a chance to sit down and talk to him as well. What's your take on him? I mean, he's an interesting guy because he's kind of shy when you first meet him. You know what I mean? He's a little bit kind of reserved and shy. Fortunately, we've had a chance to talk to him a handful of times and been in his fights. But man, I think the fact that he's moving here to Las Vegas could do wonders because he was already looking like a physical specimen, a prospect, looking like he had the speed, power, everything. But being here, I think, man, I just think that adds to what he's going to be able to accomplish.
And his last fight against Arlovsky, I
Oh.
was like, whoa, this guy. I mean, if you look at it, he's only really had like a handful of pro fights. I believe he's, 10-1
Right.
overall, and undefeated in UFC, of course. But, yeah, I mean, this guy, I think he definitely is, if not a future, or I think he already is in a way, the title contender or champion, you know. But, yeah, I mean, when I spoke to him, though, it was funny because at first he was kind of like, like you said, a bit shy, but I asked him if he would train or if he was going to train at Mayweather's gym, and he was like, I don't know yet. Like, I'm just kind of looking around. But he did say in the interview with me that he knows John Wood from Syndicate MMA, so he may train there.
Yeah. He boxing was his background. He originally wanted to be a professional boxer, and then his trainer Fernand in Paris was like, "Dude, what do you think about MMA? Like, I think you should try
this
MMA."
is a possibility.
But so I'm curious what his behavior was at the gym when you say he was there observing. I mean, was he kind of like, excited, or was he reserved, or was he like talking to people? What was he like?
His demeanor, he was just by himself. Like I said, like sitting in the corner, like right when you open the gym door, just sitting right there, kind of on his phone, but then observing everything. And then, he was like, I had to walk up to him and I was like, hey, like, oh my gosh, thinking to myself, like, don't scare him. He's probably like, what, a random girl walking up to me, right? And right when I land in Vegas, how weird.
Yeah.
But so I was
Which
like,
tends to happen.
That's so Vegas.
Which tends to happen.
hey, are you Francis? He's like, yeah. And then but he was really just sitting there by himself, not talking to anybody. And I kind of, introduced him and stuff like that. But yeah, he just wanted to check it out and also, see, like, I mean, I don't know how much I could really say, but just, like sparring stuff in the future. Yeah.
Well, he's been saying how that was one of the reasons he wanted to come. He, really wanted to see the sparring partners, but also make himself available. So I'm sure he was hoping. I'm wondering if like the Mayweather guys were like, dude, look at this motherfucking specimen over here.
I love how you guys can cuss here.
Oh, yeah,
no.
It's not
Okay.
NBC Sports.
You're good. You're good. I'm sure they were just like, dude, if we ever need like a heavyweight, like he's just such an amazing
He
specimen.
looks like a
when you look at him.
heavyweight boxer too.
He does.
Funny how you brought
He
up
looks
that
like
he wanted to
the
be
long-
a pro.
yeah, the long
Linebacker,
reach.
mixed
Yeah,
in with.
you're
I mean, he
right.
can do any sport he wants to do with that physique. You're just like,
Oh, he could.
Dude.
If he'd have grown up here, he'd have been like an NFL linebacker or something.
I imagine so. And if he would have been someplace, he would have been a rugby guy or
Yeah.
something.
True.
I mean, you never
Incredible
know.
He's
athlete.
almost like a LeBron James, where LeBron can play almost any
Slightly
sport.
thicker. LeBron
Yeah,
James.
yeah.
LeBron's not a
James
small dude by any
times
means
two.
either. Like LeBron's a pretty good sized guy, but Francis is just
Beast.
he's a
I'm
beast,
excited he's
man.
going to be here, man. We
Yeah.
we obviously gravitated to him early on because we got to be at some of his
Because we
fights.
know
were,
stars. We know future
we
stars.
pick stars. We tell you.
We tell you guys.
You
just gotta
guys
listen.
have the eye.
We got
That's
the
right.
eye. We
Got the finger on the pulse of what's going to be happening.
That's right. All right, listen. I should say
The other hand's on the beer, but
if
the
you-
other finger is
but
on
one
the
finger is
pulse.
on a pulse. Feels like a pulse. All right, listen. I should say if you like what you listen to, you should go to Twitter and follow at Helen Yee Sports.
Yes.
You can keep up with everything that Helen's doing. And just after you do that, you should go to iTunes. You should log in. You should leave us some feedback. Leave us a review. You could do like my man Dr. Mason did. It was
Dr. Mason.
Dr. Mason. First of all, he gave the show 5 stars, which
I like
very
that
appreciate.
doctor.
And they're just very short, sweet, to the point. Just said very entertaining and informative. That's all you gotta
like
do.
that.
That's
I
all you
like
gotta
that.
do. Quick, to the point. Just give us a little
I
love.
like that. Speaking of doctors, one Helen Yee got to interview Dr. J the other day.
Yes.
How fucking
for
cool
the
was that?
basketball draft, right?
Yeah.
How cool was that?
And Ice Cube.
Bro, not
And Ice Cube.
Just because you can say whatever you want doesn't mean you have to drop so many F-bombs. My mom's listening.
Oh, sorry. Sorry, Mom.
Sorry.
You know, when they're
Ken's
necessary
mom.
to prove a point. When they're necessary to
Well,
prove a
no,
point.
he-
Well,
he's
when I have 3
passionate.
words in a vocabulary, and one of them is fuck, the other one's fucking, the other one is beer. I mean,
Beer.
Too funny. So, yeah, Dr. J, legend.
Yeah, super nice.
That's cool.
Super awesome. I was like, whoa.
He was in town as part of that 3-on-3 basketball
Yeah,
league,
so
right?
it's the new league founded by Ice Cube. It's called, the Big 3 League, and it's 3-on-3 pro basketball, but they use half court. But it's cool because a lot of players I
I
used
didn't know
to
they were
watch.
using half
I
court.
was-
That's cool.
Well, dude, full court would suck.
Yeah,
3-on-3.
For the-
You'd have to have somebody
Yeah.
just cherry picking me like, bro, I'm staying on defense. Staying on defense.
Yeah, we got Allen Iverson, Chauncey Billups, Mike Bibby,
Wow.
Kenyon Martin, people I grew up watching when I was like 10 years old.
I wonder if they could.
So I'm
They probably have
excited.
maybe more of the street ballers that are always so super showy that maybe didn't
like
go to
the
the NBA.
N1 crew
Yeah,
or
the
whatever.
N1 guys. Like I was always so amazed by the ball skills of these guys and the dribbling.
Or is it the Globetrotter people?
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
yeah.
Like they would be good guys.
But they're
for
trying
it.
to just basically use like ex-NBA people, right? Like
Is that
Yeah.
what it is?
proven names.
Yes.
I think it's a cool concept.
Yeah.
It's like a Legends League. Maybe Vitor Belfort can play basketball there.
The legend.
Chuck
What
Liddell.
that would never happen, right? The Legends. League?
No.
I don't
No.
know. Anything's
That'd be
possible.
funny, right?
You'll never see Conor and Mayweather fight. It'll never happen.
Fair
You know,
point there.
like I mean, you never know. I mean, like, there'll never be a 125 division.
Or-
There'll never be
or
women in the
women's, yeah.
UFC.
Well,
it's all possible.
Speaking of
I
the
mean,
125 division, we don't even know if there is going to be a 125
Yeah, so-
division. I got to ask you guys about this. So the press release comes out. We all see the press release. Hey, tough 26, 125 women, and
Yeah.
it's so funny because literally, I don't think the UFC has done anything since they sold that got that much positive press. Like
Yeah.
every fighter, every media member, every fan I saw was like, kudos,
Yep.
way to go,
Can't
good job,
wait.
UFC.
Yep.
And then Danny comes out and tells Kevin Iole, yeah, no, we're not necessarily doing that. We're talking about it, but
Wait, so then who put out the press release?
well, that's the thing. So
a UFC staffer.
a UFC staffer, which I actually reached out to said UFC staffer, who I have a great relationship with and has always been helpful to me, and basically got back what I would consider a canned statement. It was I won't read necessarily the exact text that I received back, but it was basically corporate speak accepting responsibility, and they don't send out press releases on accident. Like people sign off on press releases.
People talk to people to talk to people just to make sure
Yes.
that it's okay. Like
You've been there,
nobody
you used to
sent-
work
I've-
there.
yeah.
Everything in layers.
Everything gets checked. Everything gets checked, and that's why I thought maybe an okay came from up high, and then maybe somebody else wasn't quite on board with it. Maybe there was the TV partner, maybe the production side was like, "Oh, we're not quite ready to like really jump into this yet. We maybe have to reschedule it." And then they all of a sudden, oh, that wasn't supposed to happen. It wasn't supposed to come out, which you know it's going to happen. I think we've all felt pretty strong that eventually would happen. You know, having a 115, a 135 doesn't make sense. You don't have a 125 in there.
Yeah.
It just seems like you knew it was going to happen. But you're right. As soon as it came out, it was like, oh, it's about time, you know, and like everybody was excited for it. And then to just backtrack, it's like you would think that, you know, could you just like let it be, even if it was a fuck
That's
up?
what I'm
Just
saying.
let it be. Just let
It's
it
the
go.
first
Why go out and
totally
say it?
positive
Like
thing
the
that's happened.
Beatles.
Yeah, just
Let
let
it
it be.
I'm telling you, I just don't understand. I don't
Yeah.
understand the logic. I mean, they could always change it and they could always do something else, but I just don't
Yeah, if
understand
there's a scheduling
immediately
problems.
poo-pooing on it when it's
Yeah.
literally the first thing I've seen where everybody was just like, yay.
So
Yeah.
what was the reasoning to kind of retract it?
They just said that it wasn't official. It
Yeah,
wasn't
Dana just said
finalized
that
yet.
it got
We're
out
still working
early.
on it.
We're talking about it as a potential concept.
Well,
but we
even
haven't
Matty
approved it
Rad's,
yet.
you know, sort of answer to it today was like, you know, we float concepts, we float ideas, and it was on paper, and it was like prepared. I'm like, oh, that was like,
That was some rehearsed Matty Rad.
I
right
know.
there,
I was
dude.
like, ah,
that was
some
that was-
BS.
that was a
right there.
practice statement where they had gone, you know, somebody's going to ask about this.
Like, let's practice that.
Let's make sure
You
we
think
have
he
our
did that in
answer
the
ready.
mirror, like multiple times in the morning, and then was like, hey guys, I'm gonna run this by you. Like they had
As
like
he
a
was
little
doing
mock
his hair,
trial
as he was doing his hair.
his lovely luscious hair.
Yeah, I think it's bizarre. I think it should happen. I will say this. I know that behind the scenes there are people that don't want to do it, especially, I mean, I don't think it's necessarily like private talk, but I mean, some of the matchmakers aren't necessarily a big fan of adding another division. And not that they don't feel like the division belongs or that it doesn't have talent. It's just the fact that when you add another division, that's more fights you got to book now. You know what I mean? And that's
Right.
they're already got people that are like, when can I fight? When can I fight? Think about how many people they just let go. By adding
Right.
another division, you're going to have more
was gonna
cuts.
say,
you're
you're
going to
gonna
have
cut
to
more
cut
people.
more people. So that's
Yep.
when people, I mean, you do have to think about this. There's
Yep.
only so many slots available. So there are some negatives to adding 125, and that means some male heavyweights, some male welterweights,
Yep.
people in other divisions are going to lose their job because they're adding the flyweights.
Thanks, Sammy.
Thank you, man. I love the
Oh,
frosty
we
beverages. Just
love the frosty
flowing
beverages here
freely
at
on
Boomers.
Thirsty Thursday here at Boomers. Can't. Good commercial, man. Why aren't they paying us? They're paying us in cheap beer. It's good.
That's true.
No, listen. I mean, I think they should do it, but there are. It's not like it's an instant like great thing. Like there are drawbacks.
You're
to
right,
it.
because especially it seems like they keep wanting or keep moving towards what looks like a fighter cap, like a certain amount. Like they're hitting some number that we're not privy to, but that number seems to get shorter and smaller every time. And you're right. How can you bring in another 12 or say 14, or you're going to start another god awful division with 2 people?
Yeah.
That's lame. You can't do that. We've seen what happens with
That's
that.
pretty
You know.
ridiculous.
So there's definitely people there, and you had some people speculating, oh, maybe Invicta didn't get the money amount they're ready for. A lot of people kind of assume that they start the division, they just kind of take Invicta's division over, for the most part. I mean, those are the best women fighters.
But Invicta's
that
got to
most
have
see.
people they can make money with too.
They gotta- right, and so
Speaking of Invicta, though, so we do know Cyborg and Megan Anderson are fighting.
not
So-
official, is
Not
it?
official. More
They
than
both
likely.
said, like,
What?
let's do this.
Okay,
But
what
I don't think it's
happened
on.
with GDR? Like, what's going on with her?
Oh, she got.
She's being quiet. She's got some personal issues going on. And trust me,
Which was it was a
we
surgery
have
she
reached out.
wanted to do,
We
right?
have reached out multiple times, trying to get an interview, trying to get the latest, trying to get an update, and basically just sounds like she's dealing with some personal things and doesn't want to talk about it right now. I don't know.
Yeah.
Do you think she's ducking Cyborg?
I mean, if you take her
No.
on her word, she says that no, she's not afraid for that fight, and she's good. But it just,
I don't think
It's
she. I mean,
weird.
listen, I
It was
would.
weird
I
for her
wouldn't
to
rush out there and try to get it if I didn't
Right.
have to.
but it was weird that right after her victory, she's like, "All right, now I'm going to take some time to do all these things I need to do." And it's like, would you have said that? You never said that before the fight. You weren't.
Yeah.
I guess you can't really say it because then you maybe worry about
Or
the
what
fight
if
not
she
happening
lost
or
the
something.
fight? Like, what if
Right.
it was flipped?
Yeah, I'm sure if she lost the fight and the opportunity to fight Cyborg was the next possible fight, she would take it.
Yeah.
you
We'll
know?
see. I think we'll get something pretty soon. It sounds like she wants to fight in September in Rotterdam in Netherlands, her home country.
I know
which would be great.
Megan
Megan.
says
Oh,
that she's down for it.
Megan.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I always say Megan is
Oops.
one. I think most
A
times
lot of people
say
do, but
Megan.
I'm pretty sure it's
But
Megan.
I think it's Megan as well. But she's certainly not shy about the fact that she'll step up and do it. I think she's been itching for a UFC contract for a while, and if that's what takes the cake, she'll do it in a heartbeat.
Yep.
That'd be interesting. I think it's going to go the exact same way all the other Cyborg fights go, but
Same.
it'll be good.
Of course, man. I don't think you pick anybody against Cyborg. That's like
Not
picking
right
against
now.
John Jones or something like that.
Not
Like,
right
you
now.
don't pick against them. You just
It's
don't.
like I think people want to duck her for the next maybe 3 or 4 years.
Ugh.
Let her scale down a little bit to where She can't make the weight, and she's maybe slowing down, weakening a little bit.
See.
Right now, I would put her up against most dudes in that weight class.
Well,
easily.
hopefully they do add the flyweights. I'd like to see that happen. I did want to point out real quick, just a quick one. Gegard Mousasi, you see he's in Singapore already doing media over there in
I did
advance.
not.
He's not fighting it down. But I found it interesting because remember when he became a free agent, everybody's like, he's going to Bellator. And I said right here on MMA Roadshow, I was like, nah, I just don't get that feeling. I'm like, I think he's staying here. People are like, no, he's going to leave. I'm like, nah, I don't think he's going to leave. He's a free agent right now, and he's doing PR for the UFC. So I think that should probably go to tell you that he's going to stick around.
You never know. I mean, sometimes the UFC is oblivious. They send Ally Quinta a happy birthday after he's just been flaming them.
Wait, so do you think they're going to release him?
I don't know.
He's gonna.
Because
I mean,
he
he hasn't
tweeted
done
that today,
he's,
right?
I didn't see what he tweeted. What did he
He
tweet?
did. He said, release me, sissies.
No shit.
Yeah.
I didn't see that. Wow. And well, if I hear in the numbers that somebody said the other day, like he's selling big properties, like big properties,
Like he's making good money.
like good
doing
money,
it?
like I don't know if this was whatever, but I was hearing like he was selling like the properties that normally would sell for like $3 million or so.
Damn.
So say if you're talking like
Whoa.
6%, 7%, he said he easily beat what he was making because what did he say, 26? So say if he only gets his show money 26,000, but say even with whatever the win 52,000, say 7%. I'm not a mathematician.
No, you're not. Or a verbalist.
Or a verbalist. But that sounds like that 6%, or even 3%. That's going to be a hell of a lot more. And, I mean, maybe that was a special deal. I'm not sure if he's just the greatest real estate agent in the world. And
Or
he's getting all
use
this
the
or somebody
UFC
just wanted the fact of,
publicity.
I want this UFC guy to be my broker or do whatever, and it was a special deal. But he's supposedly, I mean, but if you're just going to ask for a release, does that mean because you still want to fight? You're not going to get the kind of money that probably he wants out of Bellator either. If he's making that kind of money on real estate, fuck it, do real estate and just fight when you fight. If
fight
that's the
is
thing,
like
you
a
know?
hobby, extra money. Or why
Yeah.
don't he renegotiate his contract?
Well, he wants to.
He definitely
I'm not
wants to.
sure.
They don't want.
I
I
can't
just don't,
remember
yeah.
what he
Why, I mean,
said.
why would you sit down with somebody and be like, "Hey, I know you've been, mother effing me in the media all day long, but hey, let me give you some more money." I'd really like to do that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I think it's completely counterintuitive. Like,
Yeah.
if you want to negotiate more money, just be like, UFC, look at the headlines I'm making. I'm a star in the making. Like, let's
Yeah.
work something out. But if you're gonna be like, hey, F you, man. If I'm like F Dan Stupp, I hate that guy. He's a piece of shit. The worst boss I've ever had.
Give me his money.
Yeah,
Dan.
and then
his money.
I'm like, oh, by the way, Dan, I was really just saying that because I'd like to sit back down at the
'Cause I like to sit
negotiating
back.
table. Can we talk
You're
about
right.
my
There's
contract?
definitely
Like,
a better way to do
What?
it. There's definitely a better way to do it.
Who's Al's PR person?
yeah, it's not. I just don't think it's. I don't think it's good. Oh, I'll tell you what. Since we bring up Ally Quinta, I was gonna get to another piece of audio first, but I'll bring up another one. UFC 211 is coming up. A fantastic fight card. We're gonna
Not
have
so
full
shabby.
coverage.
Not too shabby.
Cold Coffee and I will both be there in Dallas next week. My hometown, which is awesome. My son's birthday is May the 12th. So my son is coming with me, with my wife as well. 5th birthday, he'll get to celebrate it with his grandparents, which is awesome. So it's going to be fun. It's going to be a good week of coverage because there's a lot of big names on the card. But I reached out to fellow Texan and a DFW resident, James Vick, who, if you remember the last time we talked to him, was kind of pissed off that he wasn't getting the attention he deserves or that he thinks he deserves, and kind of had like a chip on his shoulder, to be honest with you. And I thought, you know what? He got the Texas fight. He's a fellow Texas boy.
The executioner.
The Texecutioner. I got to reach out to him. And during the conversation, we actually kind of brought up the Ally Quinta situation. So since we're touching on that already, let's just hear the conversation now with James Vick, and he'll tell you about what's going on with his situation and how he feels a little bit about Ally Quinta as well. Let's get into it, man. I mean, you said it, man. You campaigned for it. You wanted to fight in Texas. Then you got to fight in Texas. So, has it been exciting? Has it added anything to your preparation, knowing that you're going to get this opportunity?
Yeah, I mean, it's always exciting. Yeah, I haven't really changed a lot. I believe in the system I have, and I just continue to do that before every fight and year round, and haven't changed a lot. I did go to Thailand this time for a couple weeks to start my camp. That was more just I have a hookup. I train over there at Phuket Top Team, and I had also been in November before this able fight that I had, and so nothing really changed. I mean, just besides that, really.
What did talk about the system that you use, man? I mean, you're a part of Lloyd Irvin's. I always kind of wondered how did you hook up with those guys, man? A Texas boy ending up there on the East Coast.
Well, Master Lloyd Irvin was a jiu-jitsu coach when I was on the Ultimate Fighter, and when we was on the show, we hit it off real good, and I just really understood and liked the way he taught, and I told him after the show, I was like, I want to come train, and I've been coming ever since.
Well, talk about the fight itself, man. I mean, Marco Polo Reyes, he's got a great record in the UFC, 3-0. He's been in some scraps, man. I mean, some absolute wars. But I feel like you were kind of hoping for more of a name, this time around. So, what was the energy like, the feeling like whenever they came to you with this name?
Yeah, I was hoping for. Of course, I was hoping for a bigger name guy, and I had called a few out, and they weren't even responding. And Sean Shelby's like, some of them are like Evan Dunham. We were supposed to fight before, so I was like, well, let's make that fight. And then, because he was supposed to fight Abel, he pulled out. But then Sean Shelby said that he hadn't been medically released. And then Chiesa was campaigning the whole time to fight on the Dallas card. And anybody wanted to fight Eddie Alvarez, and then Eddie Alvarez got booked. And then he acts like he don't want to fight on that card anymore, and he gets the Kevin Lee fight. So I just at that point I was just trying to take whoever just to make sure I got on the card.
Right. What do you think about him since you've been getting ready for him? I mean, did you know the name? Did you have to start watching tape? And what do you think about him now?
I had saw him fight before. I didn't know a lot about him. I've studied him a lot now. I always do. I think he's a good opponent. He's a good fighter. Everyone in the UFC is good, but I think that he's tailor-made for me. I grew up, I came up. I started off, when I was 19, fixing to be, early on boxing in Texas, and that's all I fought was Mexican power punching boxers just like him. So I fought his style many times, and I've always did very well against them. And I think that he's a good fighter, but I think that I think literally everywhere we go, I'm going to win.
Man, that sets up good for you then.
Yeah, I think that he's a flat-footed, power-punching Mexican boxer, and I've fought 15 of them before, and I've always won. And I move, I don't stay flat-footed, and I don't think there's any threat of a takedown because I think he realizes if we go to the ground, then he's going to get submitted. Well, first of all, he's not going to be able to take me down anyway, but if we go to the ground, he's going to be the one getting submitted. So I don't think that he's going to dare try to play that game.
No, I doubt it as well. You talk about people not kind of answering your call or whatever. It's interesting because of course you had the setback against Beneil Dariush, and that was a tough one for you. But other than that, I mean, your record in the UFC is very, very impressive, and I feel like maybe you haven't necessarily gotten the respect you deserve, the attention you deserve. Have you kind of felt that way, and is it starting to maybe build your frustration a little bit?
Yeah, it's been really annoying, to be honest with you, because especially the attention as far as, I made a big deal about this after my last fight about, I'm 6-1 in the UFC and no one knows who the fuck I am. And I get tired of hearing all these clowns talk about, oh, well, you need to promote yourself. You need to promote yourself. I recently just made a training week video, and I've been doing, YouTube posts, and I've been doing stuff, made a YouTube channel, everything. But all of these people that are popular the way they are, they're not self-promoting. It's not that they're self-promoting. They became basically overnight stars because of the UFC's promotion, and then maybe from there people are interested in the content they have on their social medias or whatever. But their shit wasn't blown up like that before the UFC created them.
Right.
It is annoying. And especially, I understand my problem has been, and I have to take responsibility for that. My problem has been inactivity. This is going to be my 8th fight in 4.5 years. Out of sight, out of mind. I understand, and I don't, necessarily expect the UFC to be, pushing me hard media-wise if I'm inactive. I understand that, but I'm about to fight, 2 times in 3.5 months now, and then I plan on fighting 2 more times after that. I plan on getting 4 fights this year. So, I'm gonna make the deal out of that, and And I just think that a lot of these top guys, they don't want to take chances because they want all of us up and coming killers to fight each other because they don't want to have to fight us, because there's tons of guys in the top 15 that I would beat, or there's a lot of guys that aren't in the top 15 that would beat those guys, and they know it. So I mean, why would they take those risks? Not that they're scared, they're just not stupid either, you know.
Yeah, you know, it's funny because you mentioned it after your last fight that's when you got vocal, and I kind of felt, you know, around your last fight too, like I finally felt like there was like an anger inside of you, like a frustration that I could, you know, sense coming out of you. And I wonder, I mean, what finally was the tipping point for you? I know you just turned 30. I don't know if maybe that milestone made you start reassessing things, or was it something? What made you finally kind of turn the corner where you're like, dude, I gotta speak up and I gotta say something?
Yeah, that played a factor, and I feel like here's the thing. Before, I'm not delusional either. A lot of these guys have been training way longer than me as far as the years. Now, I don't believe that they train harder than me. I know they don't, or I wouldn't be able to catch them the way I have. But some of these, when I first got in the UFC, honestly, you know, I had needed time to develop my skill set because I hadn't been training for years like all these other guys had been training. But I've caught them. You know, and I proved that. And then I go in there and I smash Abel Trujillo and beat him easier than both the number one contenders. Number two contender, Tony Ferguson and Khabib, both beat him. You know, he dropped Tony Ferguson and took him down like 3 times. And then Khabib couldn't finish him, you know. I mean, Khabib dominated him, but I went in there and smoked that dude. And I'm thinking, you know, I'm not even in the fucking top 25 or 20 at least. You know, and this dude's realistically, besides the one fight with T-Bow that was, you know, questionable stoppage, and T-Bow failed his drug test, Abel Trujillo's only lost 2 fights in the UFC to the top 2 guys in the world, basically. And I just smoked this dude easily. And it just, you know, I feel like it is time to be vocal because at this point I feel like my skill set is high enough now that I can beat anybody in the world. And I really believe that. And I believe that it's coming. You know, I know it's going to come, and after this fight, I think I see some good changes on the horizon.
Do you have to be careful though, too, James? Because I wonder, you know, you look at like Ally Quinta, for instance, a guy you're certainly familiar with. I mean, he's getting a lot of headlines right now and making a lot of name for himself, but you know, it's totally bashing the UFC, and so it's obvious you feel like, you know, you wish the UFC would get behind you a little bit more. But do you also have to be careful that you don't go too far so that then you're like creating enemies within the system?
Yeah, you know what's crazy? If you look at that, like with Al, he might be, you know, he's not getting the money that he feels he deserves, or, you know, I feel he deserves more money as well, but I feel like we all deserve more money. We all think that. But he's making the same amount of money as I am, you know. I know the purse he just made is the same I'm going to make. And I'm 6-1, you know, and then I see dudes recently. What's the new guy's name that won by spinning hook kick, and they were trying to hype him up? Lando Venata. Mm-hmm. He just made 25-25, and he's 1-2 in the UFC. And I don't have any problem with that guy, and I've never, you know, met him before. But he was 1-1 at the time. Now he's 1-2 in the UFC, and he just made 25-25, and I'm 6-1, only making 26-26. You know, we're making the same amount of money, but I'm not thinking about that because I know that I have 2 fights left on my contract, and after I win this fight, I'm going to try to negotiate, you know, and I'm going to make something work. And I don't think negative. I think positive. And it's funny, you know, Al talks all that crap about the UFC, but he's getting you know, co-main event spots, and he's getting tailor-made opponents, you know, with Diego Sanchez, who's, you know, let's be honest, the dude's way past his prime, and he's really just a good name for people to beat.
Right.
At this point, you know. So I mean, you know, obviously Al, you know, is not getting the money he should get, but besides that, he's getting plenty of publicity. He's getting a co-main event spot, and he's getting perfect opponents to build his name. So, and he's ranked 14th in the world now. So, you know, besides the money, his stuff is doing good, you know. So that money will come. You know, I don't chase the money. I chase the dream. Eventually, I'm going to be a world champion, and I know that money is going to come.
That's awesome. I know initially you were a little upset with your placement on this card, but then when the card came together and you saw the whole lineup, did it kind of appease you a little bit? I mean, you got Poirier and Alvarez, you know, headlining the prelims. I mean, this is a hell of a card.
Yeah, I understand that I'm not, you know, on the main card. I understand this is the biggest pay-per-view of the year so far. And, you know, I you know, can't complain too much. At first I did think they put me on the the fight pass, and then I was going to be real pissed. But then I was confused. It was funny because I was talking shit on Twitter about it, and then so a bunch of people called me like, "You're a dumbass. You're on the card, not the." And then I couldn't even reply back because I realized I was wrong.
Too funny.
But I just, my goal is I'm going to go put on a performance. I'm going to finish this dude within 2 rounds, and I'm going to win this fight. And then I'm gonna step in. I'm gonna negotiate.
Very nice. And you said you want to fight 2 more times this year. So what do you think you can get done? I mean, you put in a 4-win year. Move up the ranks a little bit. I mean, that could be a hell of a year for you. So what are the goals? Are there names? Are there levels? Are there? What is it?
My goal after I win this fight is I want to fight someone in the top 15. It's hard to fight these guys because they don't want to fight. They don't want to fight you if you're not ranked. And I understand their logic, but at the same time, you got to give people opportunities. That's why I do respect Beneil Dariush. He took that fight with the Russian dude, Rashid Magomedov, when really Rashid wasn't ranked in the top 15, and he won that fight. Same thing. Beneil took the fight with me. He's fighting guys that other guys won't fight. That they want us all to cancel each other out instead of fighting them. And after I win this fight, I'm 7-1 in the UFC. There's no reason why I shouldn't be fighting the top 15 guy. But my goal this year is to be ranked within the top 8 in the world. That's why I want to, I'm going to win this fight, and then I want to turn around and win 2 more and be ranked, And I, like I said, Evan Dunham, I called him out. He was ranked 14th at the time. I understand why he wouldn't want to fight me. I know he's not scared of me. He's fought, higher caliber opponents, I guess, for their name than me. But also, there's a no-win situation for him. There's a good chance he's going to lose the fight to a non-ranked guy without a name. So I understand he's 34 years old. I understand why he doesn't want to take it, but these dudes got to give us opportunity.
Very well said, man. Well, when you kind of play this one out in your head, man, it sounds like you got Marco broken down pretty well. How do you see this happen? Are you going out there and just dominating this guy? Is it going to be a little bit of scrap? Mexican boxers are known for their heart. So you expecting a little scrap, or are you expecting to go out there and just get this done handily?
I mean, he's a tough dude with heart. I mean, I don't think that anybody in the UFC is a pushover. And I haven't, like I said, I haven't slacked on my training, or I'm not delusional. I train hard as ever, just like I always do. But I think that there's going to be a big difference in the skill set when we get in there. He's a good fighter. He's got a good chin. I don't expect him to just go in there and me touch him one time and him fall over. But at the same time, I feel like my skill set in technique, they're light years ahead of his, and I don't plan on getting a fight of the night. I'm not going to stand there and brawl with the dude and be stupid. I mean, I can outstrike the dude without me even getting hit very much, and I think that's what's going to happen.
Welcome back to the MMA Roadshow. That was James Vick. I think making some pretty good points. It's funny. He's got a little chip on his shoulder. He feels like he deserves an opportunity. He's kind of buried on the prelims here, fighting in front of his hometown, but still a big opportunity for him. But I kind of like the things he had to say about Al Iaquinta. I think maybe Al's getting a better deal than he thinks he's getting. And I don't know. I like James. He is a guy that's kind of flown under the radar. Got a nice record in the UFC. Lost the fight to Beneil Dariush, which kind of set him back. But, man, when this guy's on point, he's on point. This could be a good night for him.
Yeah, and it's on FX. I mean, it's not the main Fox. It's not something like that. But FX, that gets some air. I mean, people can watch it. That's free.
True.
All your family can watch it. And they don't have to shell out. So, I mean, there's definitely positives there, young man. So, I don't know. But he's a good fighter. I'm excited to see.
I'm excited. UFC 211 is sick.
I'm excited for
the
Dallas.
The card is ridiculous.
Dallas is fun. I'm excited for barbecue and fights.
Ship me some barbecue, please.
We tend not to really have leftovers.
Sonny, bro, we got to go there.
You can see by these fine physiques. We as well. We're 10 years of competitive eating.
I got to give me some Sonny Bryan's barbecue while we're there. I love you some Sonny Bryan's.
Is that the one you always take me to?
Yeah, in the little school desk.
Yeah,
whatever.
That's so old school. It's this little teeny barbecue place, so super storied. Like you go in there and there's like smoke on the walls from probably ages and ages ago. Just reeks of like old barbecue history, and it's got these little wood tables that are like old school desks that I have a hard time even sliding into them. I'm like, gosh, I gotta lose weight to come here, but I'm like, they're just old. It's from a time probably from the 20s.
Yeah.
That's what I tell myself. I'm like, they were much smaller then, but it's so cool. Like the barbecue is so amazing. Like we're lucky enough to go to different places. We were in Kansas City, had the barbecue there, and Nashville had the barbecue there. You weren't there for that one, but I had some barbecue there. And then to go back to Dallas, which, whatever you guys believe, I love barbecue from all around the U.S., but Texas for sure has some of the best brisket.
Texas
Some of the best barbecue.
Brisket.
The brisket is like the best. And
My
if you go to a
mouth's
place,
watering.
dude, you ever go to a
Oh
place
my
and you're like,
gosh.
if you like brisket and you like burn ends,
Yeah.
like you're like, oh, can I have burn ends? They're like, we don't serve burn ends. I'm like, oh, I hate your barbecue. You go to Texas barbecue joints, you're gonna get your burn ends.
You'll have it on the menu.
You're gonna get the real deal. And then you have options. You get the fat brisket, or you can get the lean brisket.
Yeah,
I don't know why people get lean
They
brisket.
actually call it lean or moist.
Moist.
They don't
Yeah,
really call
yeah.
it fatty.
Yeah.
They call it lean
They're
or
moist, and it's where
Wow.
it's got the big fat cap on it. It's just like, it's amazing. I know it's funny. My girlfriend, she'll like, oh, I want to cut this part off. Oh, that's fat. That's what I'm like. That's flavor. You're cutting off the flavor. What is
you literally
wrong
get a
with you?
tear in your eyes. What happens?
I get a little choked up. I'm like,
I'm
well,
excited.
actually, I'm just like, more for me.
I'm
More for
excited.
me.
I'm jealous.
Okay, Texas barbecue, the brisket's the best. Pecan Lodge is awesome in Deep Ellum.
Pecan Lodge.
But that's
Wow.
that's expensive though. You know what I mean? It's like the high end barbecue, but it's
Yeah.
good. But it's just Sonny Bryan's for me, man. Simple, cheap,
Yeah.
easy. That's me.
I imagine
I'm
we'll have some
simple,
barbecue.
cheap, and
We'll have
easy.
some multiple barbecue nights there.
Yes. Oh,
It's funny. Girlfriend's like, you gonna have barbecue again? I'm like, are we in Texas?
damn straight we are. Damn straight we are. All right, listen. So Helen, since you do cover mainstream sports as well, not just the combat sports, I did want to ask you because this came across today, and this is just effing ridiculous. And I know you're a basketball fan. You touched on it early. The Lonzo Ball $495 shoes.
Yeah.
You do fashion. Do you have any $495 shoes? You probably do. You probably haven't wanted to.
Never.
Never?
No. Probably. Okay. I don't know if this is good to admit because I'm a girl. Whatever.
$495.
And a lot of people are surprised by this, but I'm actually like a bargain shopper. Like the most expensive pair of shoes I've ever bought were like $30, $40.
Really?
Wow.
Yeah.
So you're thrifty. You're good.
Yeah. I like these.
Oh, my Adidas are like
these
60 right
shoes
now.
are
I feel
like
guilty.
less
See, I love
than
these
20.
kind of. These are what like I
My
call it like my boat,
slip-ons.
like the slip-ons. Yeah, I always call those like my
Yeah,
boat
they're
shoes.
they're comfortable.
Oh yeah. I mean, but you do with the socks. A lot of times I'll wear them without the socks, and then they always get stinky, and then you always have to buy a
No,
pair. But I
that's
usually buy the cheap.
true,
I buy
yeah.
the cheap ones.
Or-
they're
or
like $8 a pair.
I buy those like ankle socks that it's
so they're even smaller than the normal
Yeah,
ankle socks.
but then they always like slide up when I walk. So
Most
I'm
annoying
like, you
thing
know
ever.
what? Let me
Yeah.
just wear these socks that show they're white. Yeah, this isn't attractive.
But that's all right. I'm not saying I
but
wasn't
my
trying to
feet
crack
won't
on you
stink.
wearing socks. I'm just saying.
Oh,
I
it's
know a lot of
okay.
times I'll
I'm
wear like the
proud.
boat. Like if it's summertime and I'm around the pool, it's boat shoes, and I just
Yeah.
put them on, and I feel like I'm like a captain. I can walk around with my drink, and I can be all. Arr, arr. I talk like a
But-
pirate, but
But
little role
Lonzo
play.
Ball shoes. At first, when I saw that today, I was like, "This has to be an April Fool's prank."
right? I mean, look
Like-
at them. I mean,
They're not even good looking shoes,
No.
right? Am I wrong in saying that they're not even good looking shoes?
No, they're hideous.
black
Sorry,
and
but
is that gold? Black and
I
gold.
mean, I kind of like the
and-
little Z logo. If
Let
you
me-
haven't
let
seen
me
it,
pull it up.
so if you don't, if you're not a if you're one of those hardcore MMA fans, then I respect you because listen, I don't really follow
Big
team sports that
Baller
much
brand.
either. But yeah, it's at Big Baller brand is where they announced. I guess this is the Lonzo
BBB.
Ball. I guess him and his brother both play at UCLA, right? Or his brother
Yeah.
just got there. Their dad is apparently like crazy. He's trying to sell the whole family for $1 billion for a sponsorship, whatever.
Oh, jeez.
But they're doing these shoes on their own. So, no Nike, no Under Armour, no Reebok, whatever. And this is this is a quote. I guess this is what am I reading on Bleacher Report here? According to Slam, which I'm not going to lie, I have no idea what Slam is, the ZO2 Prime will retail for $495 because Big Baller brand is, quote, is aiming for Lonzo's signature sneaker to tap into a new market above the athletic performance kicks from the likes of Nike, Jordan, Adidas, and Under Armour, but below the high-end designer shoes of Gucci, Prada, or Louis Vuitton. There is nothing about those shoes that makes me think that's just a step, just a slight step down from Gucci, Prada, or Louis Vuitton. These people are have you run across this family at all in your coverage yet? Have you talked to any of these nutballs?
Not yet. And it's probably a good thing.
I mean, the shoes. I mean, if they're supposed to be athletic shoes, they look like just casual walking shoes.
Yeah,
Or-
wait,
I mean, are you
these
supposed to wear
really-
those when you go to the club, when you
But
go
they-
out at night or something?
These really look like you would buy them at Walmart or something for like $9.99 or
But you should.
$9.97.
I mean,
997, yeah. 'cause
right?
they always do the little-
unless that's some super
like-
exotic like leather.
I kind
or
of like the
something.
little Z logo on the back. Like, I
You
guess that's
do?
a little. Well,
What?
I kind of like the logo. Like, it's like they're,
He
you
is
know.
a fan. He is. a
I'm trying
fan.
to find a C or
Oh
is this
yeah, yeah,
stitching made out of gold?
yeah.
What's
Right.
going on here?
Small
And is that-
immigrant children or something. They skin them.
I just don't understand.
I don't know. That's.
I mean, listen, I'm not a fashionable guy.
yeah,
I mean,
that's it. I mean,
I'm
like,
a-
what
I'm
do
a-
we
I'm-
know?
I'm
What
a
do we know what the
t-shirt,
retail thing is?
khaki shorts,
I'm always blown.
Adidas. I'm that guy.
Yeah, I'm always blown away when I see somebody. You know, they're like, "Oh, I paid $200 for these jeans." I'm like, "That's nuts." I mean, I guess maybe if they form fit and everything about it, and you're just like, "Oh, they make everything look good." Where I'm like, dude, I don't want to pay more than like $20,
Yeah,
Yeah.
$25 a pair of jeans. I'm like, I start freaking out. So the fact of
Form fitting's the
Form
last
fit-
thing I want.
when you're as big as I am, everything's form fitting. It just might fit one leg. But when you think of $500, I'm thinking I can get a whole like suit and like a pair of jeans and a shirt
A new
and
closet.
other shoes with it. You can get a wardrobe
And,
for
and
that
the
kind of thing.
cologne or perfume.
And the cologne. I go to the thrift store, like the little
$495.
swap meet down on Fantastics.
oh yeah, yeah.
So like
the-
I get all kinds of super
only
cheap
open on
cologne in there.
weekends.
I love it though.
And here's what's even
a
better,
guilty
by the
pleasure.
way. By the way, as I was scanning this, because this caught my attention. I'm not gonna lie, it caught my attention today, which is probably the reason they priced it at $4.95 because they knew it'd get attention. You know what I mean? So I guess in this way they've already beat me. They won. I'm the sucker. But I had to look at this too. And lastly, as they rolled out, this is on @BigBallerBrand Twitter. After they rolled out the shoe, then they said, and lastly, the ZO2 Slide. The ZO2 Slide is also what I have known in my life as a goddamn flip flop. It's
Oh jeez.
it's $220, I believe,
For a flip flop?
for flip flops.
What?
Flip
That's nuts.
No.
flops. Flip flops.
Reading about
Wait,
how
wait,
people
wait,
hate and
let-
saying
let me
it looks
see.
like they ripped off like
ZO2.
Kobe's shoe. So I'm trying to pull up Kobe's shoe. I can see the similarities.
Crazy. All right. I
But
just
what do
had-
we know?
I had
That's
to say
bizarre.
something. Bizarre. All right,
Wow.
listen. Hey, I will say something too. Another thing about Ally Quinta. I'm just gonna tease a little story that I've got coming this weekend. I have been able to actually get some UFC officials. I think Al has upset some people, and I've actually gotten some UFC officials that were willing to tell me some stories. To give me some insight as to what exactly happened, to where everything went south. And
Like what caused it? Like
yeah.
you're talking about that particular fight night.
No, not that fight night, but
Because it
kind
seemed
of
like
the
that fight
backstory.
night was like the catalyst,
The
and all of a
backstory.
sudden something happened.
no,
So you're
there's-
saying it was stewing?
Oh, it's been
It was
well. He,
stewing under
he,
the
was,
radar?
he had the bonus band and all that.
Well, that's true. That's
So
true.
I've
But you
got-
thought it was all. I guess I assumed
I'm
it
just
was
gonna
all
throw
good
that out there. I'm just
by
gonna
the time
tease it
that
out there.
fight.
I've
Yeah,
got some,
me
I've,
too.
I've got some
Interesting.
backstory.
Yeah.
I've got some backstory.
You got stories.
I
That's
got-
why people listen to the road
I got
show.
stories.
I like stories.
I got stories, but I feel like I've kind of touched on these stories a little bit on the road. If people listen to the MMA Roadshow, I've touched on these stories a little bit. But
Maybe I should listen.
I've got a little bit more. Yeah, well, I probably told it in an episode you weren't there, so you didn't actually
That's
listen
what
to
it was.
anything.
That's what it was.
Jackass. All right, hey, listen. Other great news. Justin Gaethje, the guy we've been talking about for a while. Man, this dude is awesome. He's coming to the UFC. Helen, I know that you cover MMA. I don't know. Do you go far enough? Have you caught any of Justin Gaethje? I know he's outside of the. You got to cover like 20 sports. We only got to cover one. So I know World Series of
And I
Fighting
don't
might not
even
be
do that
big
that
on your
well.
radar.
I do remember his fight like against Nick Newell.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, and that he's been a pretty dominant champion there for a while. Like he's
Yeah.
probably
10-0.
one of their
10-0 at World Series.
yeah, one of their biggest stars.
Yep, definitely.
Yeah,
And
so
that-
I'm happy to see him
Yeah,
here.
I think a lot of people were wondering what took so long, but then I was
Yeah,
always
what
hearing
did
that
take so
he was
long?
making, from what I guess, really, really good money.
money. And
Good.
Really good money at lesser competition.
I heard he did
Well-
not, he didn't take a pay cut to come here. To come to
No
the UFC.
shit.
Yeah,
Wait,
he's making more now.
so
I think he
what
was making
was
like
good
I think he was making $100,000 a fight.
What?
I thought it was that or more.
Was it 100 and 100? It might have been 200.
I thought it was maybe
no
something
way.
closer to that.
Yeah, so he's making good money.
Dude,
Good money. He didn't take a pay cut.
good
Wait,
for him.
he
Well, I
was
mean,
the
you got
top
some
paid
guys.
there?
I mean, but he's legit. You got like Sage. Isn't Sage making like 100?
Sage
80,
makes good
right?
money, like 75, 75 or
Yeah,
80, 80,
something
something like that.
ridiculous. And But are they the same fighter? By no means. When it comes to like
Yeah,
what
how
it
are you
is.
gonna bring up Sage Northcutt and Justin Gaethje?
Well, just in terms of pay, like what this guy
Okay,
deserves.
okay.
I mean, he's coming in like they want to bring in a young guy that nobody knows anything about. He was Disney friend or whatever. That was one of the UFC stories. They first came like, oh, he was friends with this UFC or Disney star.
Who
blah
was?
blah blah. Sage Northcutt, some
Really?
young little Disney star. I can't remember, but it was like one
Justin
of the storylines
Bieber?
that the fucking that the UFC. I'm sorry, that the FN. Now you got me thinking about how much I curse. That the UFC was like talking
You
about.
just had like a few in a row. It was like that's kind of
It,
excessive,
it's
bro.
the frosty beverage.
The
It
frosty
is.
beverage
It
does
is.
do
It
it.
gets me. It's been a while since I had them. I've been working on my workout regime lately, so I haven't been.
Dude,
haven't drunk.
I fell
I'm down
off the
10
wagon.
pounds, dog.
Are you
10
really?
pounds,
Good
yeah.
job.
Bro, I've
So,
been doing
working on
terrible. I've been doing terrible. I was motivated for a while. I was coming in dropping.
Even just walking. I've been
dropping
doing a lot
stories
more
about being at the
walking and other
gym.
stuff. Well, you'll get there in
I've had a bad
time.
week.
Like,
I've had a bad
well, I mean,
couple
plus too, like after Sammy passed, Sammy, my dear cat, I've been like finding myself now. I have more time, so I'm like, I'll get up in the morning.
I didn't want to bring it up
and I
'cause
go
knew you'd
walking
get
and stuff.
emotional, dog.
Yeah, dude, it still
I haven't really
gets
talked
me.
to you about it, but
Yeah,
obviously
still
I
gets
feel
me. Still
for
gets
you.
me. But so like now I'm using that as motivation. Get up in the morning, and get out and walking and stuff. And I've been trying to watch what I eat more, so I'm not really drinking as much outside of here. It's funny because the girl's like, "You drink all the time." I was like, "No, just when I'm with John," which is a lot of times. but
Which is
but no,
half the
it
year.
does add up. But yeah, no. So yeah, down 10.
Good for you, bro.
Great job.
I don't know how many stones that is. If we had like a
A stone is 12 pounds, so you're not even a stone.
not even a stone, well then it doesn't sound like
Close.
I've done any work. But
5/6 of a stone.
But
Well
whatever.
done, man.
Well done. Well done. In fact, I'll have enough
Well
beers
done,
tonight
Governor.
to put half a stone back on.
Wait, that's your 13th one, right?
Yeah,
That
pretty
she brought
much.
over?
Are you
Okay.
counting?
Sorry. I
First
just,
cardinal rule of Fight Club is you don't count the beers.
Oh, that's your first.
It's
There it
embarrassing.
is.
It's
There it
embarrassing.
is.
All right, well, listen, I did have a chance today, actually. I had a chance to get Justin Gaethje on the phone. He's a busy man, but luckily,
Yeah.
because we had talked to him quite a few times in World Series of Fighting, he was like, John, I'm getting hammered right now with media requests, but you know what?
It's you.
It's you, bro.
He's like, this is for the
The
MMA
John
Roadshow,
Morgan.
right?
Yes.
Yeah, well, totally. Yeah, exactly.
He's like, oh, the Roadshow? I'm a total fan.
He's like, you've been there. He's like, I got time for you. It was kind of funny. He told me a time to call, and then I called, and I'm like, hey, bro, is this still a good time? He's like, I'm working out. He's like, and I told you this time, didn't I? And I'm like, yeah, you did, bro. And he was like, I don't know why I did that. He was like, I'm so sorry.
That's
Can I-
hilarious.
Can I call you back in an hour? And I'm like, yes, you can. It was really funny too because he set the interview up on Eastern time.
Yeah,
Even though he's in Mountain time and I'm in Pacific.
that's weird.
So
Wow.
But it's funny. Like, I mean, we run into the same problem.
Yeah, we do.
We're always at the gym, and people call him like, "Bruh, can you get back to me later?
Yeah,
Can I
always.
call you in an hour? I'm at
Always
the gym."
at the gym.
It just like happened, just like the other decade ago, I think.
should we open a bar called the Gym?
I would be there
Dude, like,
all the
Wait,
time.
I'm at the
Would-
gym
would
again.
you
Like, how about a
spell it
membership?
JIM. The
Yeah,
gym.
Totally.
Yeah, makes sense. Makes sense.
I dig it. All right, enough of our nonsense. Listen to Justin Gaethje. All right, man. Well, let's just get started, man. I mean, the contract is done. You can talk about it. You're a UFC fighter. I mean, how does that feel? I got to imagine for all you've accomplished, it still feels pretty good to be in the UFC.
Yeah, I mean, it feels just like 2 days ago when I wasn't signed to him. I'm still the same concept. It's still, tough-ass fights, tougher fights now, obviously. Best competition, but I'm the best I've ever been right now. I've been working, hard since my last fight. I mean, great. I've never worked out this much in between camps, so, I knew this was coming, so I haven't taken my foot off the pedal since December.
Very nice. Talk about the thought process, Justin. I mean, like you said, tougher fights are probably ahead of you, but kind of what lured you away? I mean, you were kind of a big fish in a small pond. World Series, they had your back, they promoted you. So what was the thought process like for you to say, no, I'm going to go ahead and make this transition to the UFC?
Well, I'm 17-0 with 14 knockouts, so that alone right there is a valid reason why I should be fighting the best and have an opportunity to prove that I'm the best. So I had a great run at World Series fighting. They provided me great opportunities, but it leads to a next step. Whether that's a next big opponent with World Series, and this opportunity came along, and I get a chance to prove I'm the best in the world. I said it I've been saying it forever that I sounded like I felt like a coward every time I said I was the best in the world because I wasn't in the position to fight the best in the world, and now I am. So I can say that I'm got one fight at a time. I don't care who my second, third, fourth fight is. One fight right now, and like I said on Twitter, I want the best, scariest dude they're going to give me. The UFC will give me. I'm looking for a challenge. I'm looking to lose. I don't give a fuck about any about that, but if I can fight for 7 minutes against anybody, then the fans get their money worth, and I get, my reputation goes sky high.
That's an awesome attitude. Obviously the World Series is going through, a reorganizational time right now. Did that play into your decision at all that they're kind of switching over, or had you kind of already made your decision before they even kind of announced that?
No, it came down to I'm like we are our own business, and it comes down to numbers at the end of the day, and. I got different offers from different companies, and from all it was pretty amazing to know that my hard work. I didn't really know how much it was going to pay off until I started getting offers from Bellator and UFC and World Series, and so when that all started happening right then, it really that was an accomplishment in and of itself to know that I am worthy of the offers that I was getting. And so I'm happy right now. I get to fight the best guys in the world, the scariest dudes in the world. So many people believe in me, and so many people think that I have no chance in the world. So the best part will be proving my supporters correct rather than the people wrong. But I'm looking forward to the opportunity.
That's awesome. So I guess without getting too specific into numbers, are you saying when you say that it came down to the figures, was the UFC the highest bidder?
Yeah, obviously the ceiling is where it is. There's a ceiling, and there's no higher ceiling than in the UFC, obviously.
Yeah. No, that's awesome, man. All right, well, let's talk about the fights, man. You said it right away. I'd heard rumors that the Edson Barboza fight, they were kind of thinking about that one, and you said that's a great matchup. Everybody I've heard talk about that fight is like, dude, I've got to see it. I've got to see these two guys go at it. So what is it about Edson that's a fight that you think, yeah, that makes sense for me too?
I could ask you. When I asked you who's the scariest, most dangerous, can finish somebody the most violently, when I asked you who's that in the lightweight division, I don't know how Edson Barboza doesn't come to your mind. To be honest with you, I looked in the mirror and I said 3 names to me: Khabib, Ferguson, and Barboza, and I almost had a panic attack when Barboza came into my mind. And right when that happened, I said, all right, that's the motherfucker that I'm fighting. So I called my manager and I said, this is who I want. So, who knows? That's just what I'm looking for right now. Obviously I'm an idiot, but no one's going in there asking for the most dangerous motherfucker on the planet. He can finish you he has great timing, deadly kicks. The champion can't kick, can't wrestle. This motherfucker can throw nasty kicks, nasty elbows, nasty knees. So, I throw nasty kicks. So that's just a dream matchup come true if I can go in there and, there's no quitting me, and I've seen him quit. So that would be my intentions. But Michael Johnson beat him. So hell, that would be just as intriguing to me. Any of those fights. I want to prove that I'm the best, and I have to fight the best. I'm not saying I'm going to go in there and beat everybody, but in due time I will beat everybody. I might take a couple losses on the way, but the sport is it really comes down to fractions of inches and like fractions of seconds, between success and defeat. So that's the way I look at every single fight, every exchange that I've ever been into in a fight. That's my mindset, is I'm going to be the object with the most force going into the exchange and to the car crash. So that's what I do. And, I'm going to go in there and do the same thing. And a lot of these guys, they're content with having, getting paid and, winning by decision, but I'm going to go in there. I'm going to earn. I want to fight Brazil. I want to fight the best Brazilian in Brazil. I want to fight the best Russian in Russia. Those make me just scared shitless. And that's what I'm here for. That's what I'm here for, honestly. So, I'm glad that I'm here. I'm glad the UFC believes, in me. And, humans recognize effort. I give max effort every single time I've ever been in the cage. I should be 17-0 with 16 knockouts. the ref saved one of them, and Melvin missed weight in one of the fights. He couldn't walk coming into the fourth round if there was a fourth. Any 5-round fight, I will outlast anybody unless they get lucky and knock me out.
You know, I mean, Justin, obviously the thing that made everybody a fan of you is your style. I mean, you're reckless, you're relentless. You go out there and you go forward, like you said, maximum effort. Do you feel like, because I think the big question is from fans is, you know, will you have to change? Will that style change at all? You know, coming into the UFC, knowing that it's a tougher tier of fighter. You know, will your approach to fighting change, or do you stick with what got you to the dance, so to speak?
Well, like I said, I mean, I play a game. You know, milliseconds, fractions of centimeters. I'm telling you, that's what this is. It's timing, it's attitude. And so, no, those are what I'm the best at, and that's what this sport is. That's if you want to be successful and the best. You know, a little bit of luck, perseverance, a lot of skill. That fucking take you a long way in this shit. And you know, I'm from a small town. I have no kids. You could say I have no regard for my health, but I'm 17-0 with 14 knockouts. You know, that O to me says I haven't been knocked out unconscious in fight. So if you're saying I'm taking too much damage, I don't think it's based off much logic. I do take shots. I roll with the punches. Like I said, 2 objects with the same mass. It's force against force. Which one has the most force? And that's the game I play.
I love it, man. I love it. Well, if everything goes perfect, you know, what's a good date for you? Do you have something circled on the calendar that works best for you, or are you still kind of waiting to hear what they have to say?
Hey, I'm ready. I've been training. Like I said, I haven't taken my foot off the gas pedal since I fought last time. So I'm ready to start. You know, I wouldn't be calling out the best in the world right now, the most dangerous dude ever, if I wasn't ready to fight him. You know, I'm ready. I have the best coach in the world, Trevor Whitman, and some great training partners. I train with Nate Marquardt, Matthew Lopez every day. Hold on, let me get a dog in there.
Yep, no worries.
And come on, go. So yeah, I mean, it's pretty basic. A lot of things in life are basic, and this is definitely one of them. I mean, stick to the basics, and you know, there's going to be some losses, ups and downs. So yeah, I'm ready for all that stuff.
That's awesome. And ultimately, you see that UFC gold around your waist. I mean, you said you're taking it one fight at a time, but you think you got what it takes to be UFC champion?
Well, fuck. I mean, no one's last. How many guys have lasted? A lot of guys have not fought again after me. So I don't know. Like I said, I'm not here to predict the future. I mean, it's like I said, milliseconds, centimeters. You can't predict that kind of stuff. That's the best thing. That's what I love the most about this is, you know, there's a lot of things, a lot of ways in life that a lot of course of action you can take where you can control your destiny. But right here, I can't control a lot of things, and that's what's so intriguing about this sport. And you know, it's violence, carnage. You know, all that intrigues me as well.
That's awesome, brother. Well, I'm not gonna lie. The fan inside of me hopes that it's the Barbosa matchup. That's I think you two guys' styles would just be amazing, man. That'd be one hell of a way to make a debut.
Yeah, no, I agree. Hey, I come in there and take him out, then you know, it's not just him, Michael Johnson. I know, I'd love to fight Tony. Nate Diaz needs to fight right now. You know, I want to fight the best guys in the world. I'm here to put myself on a pedestal in front of a million plus people, and I'm willing to fall right flat on my face. So I'm gonna be ready. You know, take every day. I wake up, you know, so hungry right now. I'm working my ass off. So you know, I'm ready to fall flat on my face, or you know, earn the respect of every single person that watches me fight.
Welcome back to the MMA Road Show. That was Justin Gaethje, the highlight. I'm excited to see him. I will say this. Bad news, I guess, for anybody. Because the Barbosa fight, the Edson Barbosa fight is the one that's being floated out there. I don't think it's going to happen. I think there's some complications, and that's really about all I can say. I don't think that's the fight that's going to happen. Which is disappointing because those two guys would put on a
that would be awesome.
Damn show, dude. That would be a fight.
So who else would be next then?
I don't know. I mean, he's out there.
Barbosa's ranked number 5 in the
right.
UFC.
I mean, that's the bad thing.
He's coming as a champ. You got to throw him up to the top.
I mean, Gaethje saying
Ferguson,
kind of money. Diaz, you know, all the people that he called out.
Fun.
You know what I mean? But it's
That's perfect.
tough because there's little upside to fighting him. You know what I mean? Like, he's a guy that's coming in. He's dangerous. You know what I mean? But he doesn't have a name yet. And so it's his first UFC fight. I thought the Barbosa fight would be the one that would make the most sense, both stylistically and for Barbosa, because he's kind of stuck right now anyway. And so I thought it made sense, but it sounds like there's some stuff going on behind the scenes that's not going to happen.
And Pettis just signed because
Pettis moved back up to
Yeah.
lightweight. That would have been a fun one too. So I don't know. We'll see what happens. But I love the kid's attitude, man. I really do love the way that he fights, number one, and I love his attitude. Just saying, look, I'm going to keep fighting the way I fight. I'm going to bring it. All right, Helen, I should say, since it's not a big MMA weekend, there is a fight here in Las Vegas, Canelo
Yes.
and Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. You know, this is not one where I'm saying people run out like the way I said about
Yeah.
Lomachenko, the way I
Me
said about
too,
Joshua Klitschko.
yeah.
I'm not saying, hey guys, there's nothing going on. Well, there is some MMA. There's some stuff on Fight Pass, some stuff on Access TV, but no big events. But not to downplay the fight, I guess. But I gotta imagine you as somebody that's got your finger a little bit more on the pulse of boxing. This is one that's not necessarily really moving the needle, other than the fact, right, that it's the Mexican
you're
population
correct.
is awesome.
Yeah, and I mean, other than the fact that people just like to see Canelo, but I think last year at this time when it was Canelo versus Amir Khan, that was more of a fight that people wanted to watch.
Yep.
So I think this one, I mean, easily Canelo. And
Right.
I know
I
in the
think so.
fight game, with anything, even in sports, I mean, Warriors blew the 3-1 lead last year. So in any sports, even like Patriots, Super Bowl, anything can happen and anything's possible. But I don't see Chavez Jr. beating Canelo at all.
I have yet to talk to anybody that's like, who
Oh,
everybody's
it's gonna be
sleeping
good.
on.
Yeah. Or, this is
Yeah.
a good one.
Yeah.
Canelo gets
It's
better
like
and
this is
better
just a
every
fight
time.
that's happening for Cinco
Yeah.
de Mayo, and that's that.
Yeah,
Yep.
I think the world is just watching or waiting to see, or hopefully after, when Canelo does win, Canelo Triple G.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That'd be
I
great
thought you were
fight.
going to say they were hoping that De La Hoya and Chavez Sr. would hop in there and say, fuck it, let's do it again.
Wow.
That's
and-
old school.
And they should be co-main event of Mayweather-McGregor, right? And then Anderson Silva, Roy Jones Jr.
Oh,
Yeah.
Jesus Christ.
There you go.
No. Please not. All right, well, listen. Helen, thank you for sitting in with us this whole time. I really appreciate it. We'll be back on the road next week. Cold Coffee. We'll be in Dallas, again, my hometown. So we'll.
And I should say earlier when you said the disappointment when you were talking about the Barbosa, I thought at first you were going to talk about our missing guest, Fiasco Jones. For all you that love the Conspiracy Corner, Fiasco was supposed to be here, but he's been working on getting his fitness, and I assume that's why he didn't show up. He said he had to go to the gym and he was going to push me. He was going to be late, and then that late sort of morphed into I'm not going to make it.
for the gym.
Right? Dude's got all of his priorities
sometimes,
wrong.
like, the treadmill, when you start just obsessing over.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah,
Just
yeah.
how
I was like,
many
oh yeah, do
calories
tell,
are
do
burning.
tell.
I
Yeah.
get that feeling all the time.
All the time.
And with that said, I'm going to order another round of frosty beverages, and I'm going to sit here for a while because I ain't going to the gym.
Yeah. Well, next week. Well, I don't know if we are going to see him in Dallas, so hopefully we'll have him again. But it's a fight week for him. We tend to only get Fiasco when he's kind of doesn't have his UFC responsibilities. So we'll see if we have him. Great. If not, we'll have that Conspiracy Corner again eventually. Here.
And then we got the big road trip, the big month
big
long
one,
coming
the
up.
big one, the road show on the
July
road.
one?
July.
We got Stockholm, Rio, Auckland, and Singapore in back-to-back weeks.
Wow, jealous.
Yeah.
So that'd be the big road show.
Lucky.
All right. We're going to do all that. In the meantime, frosty beverages are made to be consumed. You've been drinking water the whole time. I wasn't going to out you on, this massive audience of the MMA Roadshow, but
Yeah. Are you
No,
going to
I'm
switch
drinking
it up
water
now?
the whole
Is it
time,
time
so
I'm
it's
to
about
time to
to
switch it up.
drink a PBR.
Yeah. Helen has never had
We'll have
a
pee all the
PBR.
way around.
We get a few P's, please, for all of us. Helen's never had a Pabst Blue Ribbon, so after the taping of this, we are going to walk over, or maybe Tammy will bring it to us, and we're going to have her first Pabst Blue Ribbon.
Yay, popping that chair.
You can say pop in the cherry.
Okay.
It's all right. It's good.
Yay.
Yay.
We'll never have another girl in here. All right. Thanks for listening.
Bye.